So just some updates on what's going on in accreditation. This week we just wrapped up program for the yellow cohort. At least we wrapped it up for all of our scheduled dates. There are still some handful of programs that we still need to get reviewed. But we're working on that and have a plan in place for that. Site visits for the yellow cohort, which will take place next fall and next spring. We sent out a survey to preference for a virtual or in-person visit. So we're collecting all those responses and we'll be in touch soon about whether the site visit will be virtual or in person. Going back to program review, we did have a lot of new reviewers join us, so that's great and exciting. And so we'll be doing BIR training this summer, more information and dates to come on that. Common standards for the yellow cohort are due at the end of February. And so we have review dates scheduled for March and April for that. And then just one little shout out, well, not little, big shout out to the IPR team. I know you noticed that there are 8 programs that you're approving today. And over the last 10 months, there was a little bit of a backlog because we had shifted our focus to SB 488. So I just really want to acknowledge Rosemary's lead on IPR and really getting those programs through as soon as she was able to step back from SB 488 and hop back on IPR. She really prioritized getting those programs through with support from Kiyomi and now support from Michelle and Susan. So I just want to shout out them and thank them for their work and getting you 8 programs to approve today. So, thank you.
And I'll jump in on the next part. So yeah, just to piggyback on that, the IPR team's been working really hard to get caught up, which is fantastic. And now we have the 2 new consultants working there as well and helping support that. So we're really thrilled that we'll be able to kind of hopefully make good speed on the ones that have come through. So really, really happy to be able to put it. I'm going to make this mine very brief, but March meeting will be a virtual meeting for you all. We don't have a lot of site visits because we're just in that moment now where we're in the site visits. So we have to consider, the time it takes to put the reports together and that kind of thing. So it'll be a short meeting. I think we sent that to you. It is the kind of meeting, you remember Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act got changed in the last few years as a result of the pandemic. This is one in which you are going to have to tell us where you're at, and we can't change those. Once we have that address, we cannot change it once it's posted. So Michelle, if she already hasn't, she'll reach out to you to find out what address to put on the agenda. And then for the April meeting, I wanted to mention that it will be a 1-day meeting. And remember when you picked your calendar dates, this is actually a Monday, Tuesday calendar date for your next meeting. And so in talking with the co-chairs, we were thinking that Tuesday probably works better for you all so that you don't have to travel here on a Sunday night, if that's what you needed to do. So we are looking at April 21st, which is the Tuesday. And I think that will be in person, but I need to double check how many reports we're talking about and all of that. So more on the April meeting, but I just wanted to give you a sense of where we're at. And then I just want to pass it on to, I guess, Kara, and then maybe end with Erin. Kara.
Yeah. Hi, friends. Are you hungry?
You're between for lunch.
It's fun to go right before lunch, but I'm so happy to be here and nice to see you all. So tomorrow, teacher residency grant applications are due for implementation and expansion. So if you haven't written it,
4 hours.
Right. We're expecting this will be another very competitive application process. So we might have to break some hearts, but we hope not to. Okay, we have, I'm not going to say how much money we have to award because it gets fuzzy when you bring in school counselor residency. It's a long story. So that's that for tomorrow. You might have seen in the governor's proposal that there might be some more teacher residency money coming, but we'll see when June hits. That's the drop dead date. But in the meantime, you might have heard about this little thing called Student Teacher Stipend Program. Good times. This is really, I am so excited about this program, and wow. So if you haven't gone to our newly designed by an old lady website, that would be me. There's a lot of information there about the Student Teacher Stipend Program, including a list of questions and answers, and we will be continuing to update. In fact, I think I have an update for tomorrow to post for questions and answers and just all sorts of information, including, you're hearing it here first, although I already told someone who emailed me. April 9th at 10 a.m. will be a webinar where we'll come out and say, hi, friends. Here's some things to consider. Here's the authorizing legislation. Yes, we'd love to do that, but we can't. And I don't like the word can't, but that's the concept of the webinar. We'll take questions, which again, we'll post on our questions and answers. Nothing starts until July 1 and after. Okay. And I think the biggest thing for everyone to remember is this isn't a traditional grant program that's usually administered by the commission. It is a by name, by need. You know who these people are. There were no projections. There's no 50s to 60-page applications. And it's in concert between the IHE giving information and the LEA giving information on an online system that we hope is streamlined. We'll find out more on Friday. We've invited some friends from the field to give us some feedback. So those are the biggies right now. So go to and email us. I'm there. I got 3 I have to get to today. I just noticed. So that's it for me and grants.
All right. We have a commission meeting coming up, the 12th and the 13th. Just some updates on that at the moment. Our plan is to have all the policy items on Thursday. And Friday will be all closed session. So if you're trying to plan your schedule around being able to monitor the meeting, this is what we're hoping to do at this coming meeting. So that's a little bit different. Policy items will be posted. Obviously, the agenda will be posted shortly. So please definitely take a look at those. There are some things there about our ongoing work toward implementing the requirements of SB 1263 around TPA. There's a lot, I mean, you know, you could say it's around TPA, but there's a lot there in terms of this next item really asking the commission to adopt some plans moving forward for some of the things that we are required to do, such as provide some support to institutions that have low pass rates. What is a low pass rate? Well, we have to set the low pass rate. So commissioners will be thinking about that. From an accreditation standpoint here, there's not a lot in that item yet about the implications for accreditation. I think we first need to decide what's the low pass rate, what is the institution response going to be required of that, and then as staff can think about where are the supports from us that are possible, what can we do about that? I think that will be coming. But it's still an important next step. We can't make more plans for what staff will do until we know what is. I keep saying, you know, what if thresholds are set at a certain rate, it's this many programs. If they're set here, it's this many programs. So we shall see on that. And I know our higher ed friends in particular are very interested in that. Actually, let me rephrase that. Any of our friends who offer preliminary programs. So I apologize because our LEAs are taking up more and more and more these days with those preliminary programs. So that's great. In addition to that, based on legislation, and I had mentioned this, I think at my last update, but we have a lot of work that we are currently engaged in around admin services programs. So staff's been doing a lot of research to get us ready to have a conversation with leadership of the agency about this is what we're seeing that's happening nationwide with regard to, are there different kinds of admin credentials being offered in different states? And if so, what and what are they for? Any hurdles any other states experienced with that. So we'll have a chance to look at that research. And I just want to thank staff for gathering all of that national research so we can have that conversation. We do, as a reminder, have until September 1st of 2028 to finalize that admin services work, which includes not only taking a look at do we need 2 pathways, but we have to get literacy language added to the admin standards in a way that makes sense for administrators, right? Likely going to be doing some updating around, you know, ed specialists, support for administrators working with early childhood settings now that we have, you know, PK3 credentials and universal programs for our youngest learners. So probably a lot there, even if we weren't looking at, you know, 2 credential pathways. In addition, by January 1 of 28, we have to update the standards for the reading and literacy added authorization and reading and literacy leadership specialist credentials. So we've started some work on that again internally, having some conversations with some partners at CDE who we worked very closely with related to the literacy standard itself and some of that rollout. So they're very good top partners for this. We're having some conversations with them and then some more rolling out about that. And I guess all I'm saying about in terms of staff doing this is we will absolutely be coming out to our thought partners, you all in the field. But right now we're kind of trying to get our hands around what to bring to you so that we're not just, let's just open everything up and, start from scratch. Child development permits, I just want to draw some attention. There will be another consent item. So we brought a consent item for the commission to approve regulations language at the December meeting. And immediately following that meeting, we identified that there had been probably it was a version control issue, which we've all experienced, but a couple of important things got left out of that regs package. So it's coming to the commission again with the important, we also need these things in the regs package. So should be non-controversial. There's nothing major there. We're not trying to slip in anything new. But that's coming again. So if you wonder why, that's why. And we're also engaging in some work around dual credential options and specifically gen ed and sped. We are also in the research phase of that right now. If you were at Cal Council in October, there was a research paper that was introduced by former Commissioner Adam Wall, also former Dean of Redlands University, and Commission Chair Marquita Greno-Shire and others. CEDAR folks were also in that. That full report, my understanding, will be released towards the end of this week. We had a preliminary report. I think everybody had access to that. We'll be taking a look at that report, but the question I think that we're asking ourselves here is, dual credentials are a possibility now, right? And yet there's not a lot of them out there. And so why? We have a universal common trunk, but is that problematic? How can the pathway be maybe eased for institutions that want to offer a very seamless, integrated option for candidates that want to pop out on the other end with both a gen ed and an ed specialist credential? So we're really leaning into the inquiry of, it's possible, but why is there not enough uptake? And how can we assist with that? And how can we assist with it in a good quality way for institutions and their candidates? So I think that's everything. Again, the commission agenda will be posted soon, so take a look at that. There's a lot going on. These are just the issues that I think folks in the accreditation world are probably most interested in right now. Anything I didn't mention? Anybody might have a question?
But I just wanted to piggyback on the work around the reading and literacy added authorization and the specialist. One of the things we thought about, and we kind of got the thinking from the PK-12. You remember in the PK-12, we wanted to really recognize the work that the early childhood community has been doing, and their professionalism, their training, and how we can make that work. So thinking about that and thinking about how much money has gone into reading coaches in the last few years. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things we're trying to get our arms around by working with CDE is what kind of training have those people been getting, and can we give them credit in some way towards an added authorization or the specialist? So we're having conversations with CDE about that to see if that might be something we could kind of bring into the next phase of the RLAA and the RLS. Mm-hmm. So that would be really exciting if we can figure out how to do that.
Erin, I have a question.
Yeah.
Regarding the examination, like the preliminary administrative service. Do you anticipate some of those pieces driving changes to the capsules, like there are revisions or
I'm sure.
ones?
Yeah, it's going to be a big body of work. So I don't know if folks in the field heard the question was, do we expect any of the work around the admin services credential update to drive changes to the capes and the capsules? And I think that's an absolute yes. Yeah. And at some point, work very closely with Director Dr. Juliet Wallleitner, who is director over the DREA division, which is where our performance assessment folks live. We know that our performance assessment, we're going to need some of her staff to be involved in this work at some point, because they need to be listening for where do the updates need to be made for, the design standards and for the APA as well. CPACE will probably also be a big question mark for us at some point. So there's a lot. It's a big body of work. I'm just grateful we have until September of 2028, and yet at the same time, I worry about the
It's a
timeline.
big lift. I have
It
a
is.
second question
Yeah.
regarding the dual credential piece. I think, like, my colleague across the table here, Alan, and I, we talked about a dual credential within the intern pathway, and like if there would be kind of an examination of that and how that might affect that credential structure or policies around that piece.
I think it definitely will. I think, I think we need to pay close attention, not that we don't always, but I'm thinking about PK3 recently. I think we need to pay close attention to what does something look like on a student teaching pathway, and does it look the same on an intern pathway? And I just say that I bring up PK3 because I know the intern pathways have the greatest struggle with that dual placement that they have to make. And we knew that it was going to be difficult. But as somebody recently was saying, well, maybe we can change the requirement. And my response, sorry, I don't want to make anybody in the field panic. My response was, maybe an intern pathway is not a good fit for PK3. I don't know. It's there. We're not going to take something back that we've already granted, but it did make me think about pathways a little bit more explicitly as we look at work going forward. Like, is everything going to be a good fit for all a variety of pathways that we have out there now?
And where will that report come out of?
The case report?
Yeah, the one that Andrew and
The Center for Inclusive Learning, isn't it?
Center for, I can't remember what the A stands for.
Alliance, I believe.
Yeah, I'll look that up.
Has that come out?
It hasn't yet, and I'm sorry. I'm sure Chair Grinnell-Shire is not listening right now, but it was a maybe Thursday or Friday. I'm not working directly with Case yet, so I don't know, but we are anticipating it.
and would that come out on your Friday announcements?
We could certainly,
Um,
we could certainly put a link to it, right?
No, why not?
As long as it's a free.
Yeah, if it
publication,
comes
which I
out, yeah,
imagine it wouldn't be.
absolutely. Yeah, we try not to post things that have a paywall. That seems unfair.
And Erin, I'm also curious, in the work around administrative credentials, I know California is actually without a superintendent credential. Is that something that's also being looked at? Or is that just
I don't want to say that it is or it isn't because we're really in the research phase, but I think just at a very high level preliminarily, I think what staff found in their national research was in general, if there are two credential options for admin offered in other states, it typically is because they have one for superintendents. Part of what drove the request that came from the governor's office for us to even look at, do we want two credential options, was this idea that, and now they have the option to do it, that OTs and PTs now have an option for an admin credential. And does it make sense for everybody? And I don't want to, again, I don't think we're targeting OTs and PTs and saying we're going to take something back or put something else in place, but what makes the most sense for individuals if we want to have opportunities to either be a school site administrator or not? Or you're on a teaching path, and so that takes you logically toward school site administrator, and you're not on a teaching path, and does that take you logically to somewhere else? So I think there's some big ideological questions there.
And just remember the law that allowed OTs and PTs also had a prohibition on evaluating teachers. So then that suggests a different pathway. So.
Can I just add to that? This is why USC offers a program that's not a credential, but it's like, it's associated with the AASA, whereas they could get training at USC for superintendency, but it's not a credential.
I have a question about the dual credential options because we keep going back and forth. Is it my understanding that we're approved for multiple subject and we're approved for as specialist? We can create a pathway
Absolutely.
without going through approval.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Because I've worked in institutions with that dual pathway. It is very, very challenging to find that placement at both locations for the number of. And then, of course, you get the first one and then you don't get the second one. And so then what do you do with the student? So at some institutions, put them in a course until that time. And it could take till the next semester to do it. And if that happens in spring, it means they have to wait all summer and they don't get to graduate. I'll just share that little tidbit
Interesting.
of the
You're
challenge.
Right.
Good to know.
That's a challenge.
That's what we were discussing about not having the internship option, but just student teaching or extending the intern into a different kind of practicum for an extra semester. So yeah, there's a lot of, I think that's why people don't necessarily want to go that route. I mean, it's something we've thought about a lot, but it's the logistics is.
Well, but I've lived it with
Yeah.
institutions.
Dr. Bernadette, wanted to add on.
What we did is a long time ago, we had credential educators now teaching special ed. Because we had so many gen ed teachers in multiple subject, we went through a period of time where the gen ed teachers were no longer needed. And we actually had to release a lot of gen ed teachers, at which point a lot of those teachers decided to go into special ed. So the CTC said we could do this. We had credentialed educators now teaching special ed. Many of them have just stayed in special ed.
Great.
Because they knew it was a place where they wanted to work, but they've also had the background of working in say multiple subject. So it was a way for us to account for this because we're having issues, I think, everywhere. You see the flow up and down of where we have positions open. And this is the second time in our district where they're looking at no preliminary program. They're thinking about it for multiple subject because we are over staffed in multiple subject and a declining enrollment. Now, this is the second time it's happened, but then it comes back again.
Yeah.
It comes back again. So I'm wondering if that's what some people are thinking about doing as well.
No.
Because it was in, I think, legislation for that credentialed educators a long time ago. Very, very long time ago.
I don't know. I'm anxious to see the report because there will be some
too.
recommendations in it and that always helps we have something to respond to. And we need to have a conversation. I know that have been noted specifically, I think CSU Long Beach has been mentioned a few times as an institution that has a really good integrated dual credential program. I have not yet had a chance to, find out what that looks like, but I think we'll have an opportunity to have some conversations with institutions that appear to have figured it out. And what does that look like? And then, evaluate, is that going to work for everybody? I think it's, again, we're really leaning into the inquiry of this. And what might be a goal and how could we get there and how could we support institutions who want to do it?
Just one last statement, way back, No Child Left Behind, where our special ed, our specialists had an ed specialist credential, but because they were teaching science and teaching math, they needed that additional training. So many years ago at LAUSD, I was part of VPSS. What was it called? Verification Process for Special Settings. But they didn't get a credential. They got approved to teach at that school district. Do you remember that, Pat? A little?
Very little.
Yeah. So it's an alternative. It's not a credential, but it was approved through the County Office of Education.
Interesting. Well, more to come on all of that. That's a lot, look, we're looking at a variety of credential types over the next year and a half. In addition to whatever may come at us from the legislature this year. Hopefully we can maintain a sustainable pace. Yeah.
Other reports from staff?
Good timing. No, that's it.
How do we do 5 minutes ahead? Schedule?
I'm so proud of myself. I built in extra time in the morning and you guys hit it right on the nail.
Thank you for acknowledging that we use extra time. We do, having those buffers, I think it was 15 minutes every hour gave that buffer. Thank you.
Yeah. And one of them had a half hour. That's why I hid the 15-minute buffer.
Thank you. So we're all gonna plan to be back here probably like 5 to 1, so we can start at 1. Does that sound fair? And we're going to adjourn for lunch. So thank you so much. Like we have all of our COA here, so a little bit ahead of 1 o'clock, but getting ahead is not a bad thing. And it looks like we have our institution here, so we'll call the meeting back to order. On item number 15, this is the report of the Accreditation Provisional Site Visit Team to Santa Maria-Bonita Unified School District. We have consultant Roxanne Purdue here with us, present, who will share the item, and joining her today is team lead Christine Cisco and institutional representatives Shelley Hart, program coordinator, and Gabby Jimenez, induction TOSA. Is anyone recusing themselves? Okay, we have member Hillis. Anyone else? All right, with that, Ms. Purdue, thank you for joining us in person. You can begin.
So good afternoon, committee members. I'm pleased to bring before you today agenda item number 15, which reviews the details of the provisional site visit to Santa Maria-Bonita School District. The visit took place virtually from November 17th through 19th, 2025. As a reminder, Santa Maria-Bonita School District was granted initial provisional accreditation as an institution in the 2021-22 school year. They are now entering stage 5 of the IIA process when a new institution hosts the provisional site visit. This provisional visit is based on the routine 6-year accreditation site visit and follows the same protocols. The team makes decisions on all common standards and their teacher induction program standards, as well as an accreditation recommendation and any stipulations if appropriate. In a review of the demographics from the 24-25 school year, the 116 Santa Maria-Bonita School District teacher induction candidates were placed across 21 TK through 8 schools with over 75 mentors to support them. With these numbers in mind, the team was able to conduct 169 interviews during this provisional visit. In addition, the school district has over 17,000 students enrolled with a breakdown of 56% multilingual learners and 89% identified as low income in an agricultural region. I'd like to thank, first of all, Superintendent McDuffie, as well as both institutional leaders and program leadership team of Shelley Hart, Gabby Jimenez, and Jessica Para, for their dedication and commitment and hard work. The heavy lift, as we all know, doing a site visit, but a provisional site visit is, I think, even more challenging because you have like 2 to 3 years maybe, and then you get started doing it. So not only are you still developing your program, but at the same time, you are preparing for a site visit. So it's very challenging, and they did a great job. They were creative. They're creative in their program. Every time I saw something, it's like, ooh, you should share that at the induction conference. They were positive, they're welcoming during this visit. In particular, their program leadership team put in significant effort over the year that we prepared for that visit. And it was very evident from their quick response to team questions, requests to support and organize the interview schedule went seamlessly. The team was able to conduct all necessary interviews with that in mind. And in fact, after day 1, we had some no-shows who committed, and then on the fly, they started making phone calls. And we even interviewed people while they were driving in their car to make sure we had enough people in our interview. And then we shot over. So it was a great interview process. In addition to that, I'd like to commend them for their dedication towards continuous improvement. For example, over the course of the preparation year, when I would ask the team questions about the alignment of their program with the standards, they would literally start a team discussion while I was there, debating how they wanted to do it. And they were so creative again, on the fly. And then they would, while I was still there, they would work out how they're going to implement. And so they just it was just really amazing working with them, and always positive. I'd also like to thank the commission's volunteers. Yes, I want to make sure that we note that they are volunteers still. And they dedicate their time, their expertise, their knowledge in serving in this provisional site visit team. They did a thorough job of looking at all common and program standards thoughtfully, including the evidence provided by the institution. Specifically, I'd like to thank our experienced and wonderful team lead, Christine Cisco, for her motivating and effective vision that she brought to this provisional site visit. She's very experienced. I've worked with her before, and it was just a pleasure working with her as well. So I had a good visit. And now I'd like to turn it over to the team lead, Christine Cisco, to provide us with a little more information about Santa Maria-Bonita School District and the details of their provisional site visit. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Roxanne. Can everybody hear me okay? I just want to make sure. Okay, thank you. I agree with Roxanne. It was a wonderful visit, as always. So good afternoon. It's a privilege to present the findings of the provisional site visit for the Santa Maria-Bonita School District Teacher Induction Program. That is like the longest name ever. But based on a comprehensive review of the documentation and extensive interviews with stakeholders, not just participants and their mentors, but with all stakeholders, the site visit team recommends a decision of accreditation with all the common standards and program standards found to be fully met. The Santa Maria-Bonita School District program is frequently described by district leadership as one of the organization's crown jewels, and those were words actually used by leadership. We found an institution deeply committed to its Grow Your Own residency model, which serves as a benchmark for workforce diversification, and it flowed seamlessly into their induction program. By strategically recruiting from the local community, the program has successfully increased its bilingual educator pool and ensured that the teaching force reflects the demographics of the students they serve. Many of these new teachers are parents and or former students coming back into the profession, into this school district. Operational excellence is a hallmark of this program. This is evidenced by the new Educator Week, a significant fiscal and temporal investment that provides foundational support before a teacher even enters a classroom. Furthermore, the program utilizes a systemic green, yellow, red progress monitoring system. This proactive approach ensures that any candidate requiring additional support is identified early and provided with intensive job-embedded intervention immediately. This district is fully invested in their new teachers and this program, and that was evident from every person that we interviewed. Roxanne mentioned the responsiveness of the team and their dedication to continuous improvement. And during the accreditation progress, this program demonstrated exceptional responsiveness. And I have been on many site visits, sometimes 2 or 3 a year. And this team, truly functioning as a team, was able to respond with a fluidity and with an exactness that got us what we needed without round and round and round going back several times. While initial reviews identified a need for more formalized documentation regarding their mentor support and data evidence, the institution moved with an impressive speed to actually address this right in the moment. They weren't waiting for us to get through the site visit in order to address it. They saw, oh, there's an area of need. We're going to move forward. They've already developed and implemented new protocols for documenting the specific coaching and support provided to mentors by the program staff. The current area of growth is not a lack of support by any means, but rather an ongoing formalization and consistent application of the new documentation processes across all candidate cohorts. So basically, they just formalized this amazing process that they've already had in action. This ensures the high quality individualized support that the interviews confirmed is happening on the ground consistently, and it's captured in the program's data systems for continuous improvement. They utilize this with their interest holders across a variety of forums to be able to meet the needs not only of their school sites, but of their district office, and they work with their IHE to make sure that they are supporting the teachers as they come in with their plans. Interviews with year 1 and year 2 candidates, as well as their mentors, confirmed a pervasive culture of growth mindset and professional efficacy. I use the word pervasive intentionally. This isn't something that people just say, oh, yeah, it's got a great culture and climate. This is a very intentional and concentrated effort from the superintendent all the way through the district, and it's personified by this program. Candidates reported that the program does not just help them clear their credential, but it helps them transform their practice, and that's what Induction is supposed to do. Because the institution has successfully built a robust infrastructure that supports both educator excellence and student success, the team is confident in its recommendation of accreditation. So thank you for hearing this report, and thank you, Santa Maria, for allowing us a small glimpse into your program.
Thank you both for sharing that information. We now will invite the institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. And for all of our institutions this afternoon, just a quick reminder, a brief response, so really within about a 3-minute period of time, that gives our committee members an opportunity to ask questions if they have any. Remind you that it's not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather a time to provide any of your thoughts you had about the visit. So would anyone from the institution like to speak?
Sure. My name is Shelley Hart. Thank you so much to the committee. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I feel like it has been such a long journey to be here. We did want to introduce our credential analyst, Jessica Parra, who's joining us today, and we want to thank her for her tremendous efforts in being part of this team preparing for the provisional site visit. We also wanted to take this opportunity to thank Roxanne Purdue for supporting us through this process, as well as our team lead, Christine Cisco, and our program reviewer, Carrie Sotro, and our common standards reviewer, Latasha Porter. This process really allowed us to streamline our program and to be a lot more intentional in our work. Every time something was mentioned as a suggestion, we were like, yes, that's what we thought too. Like, let's do it. So we would just implement it right away. And I really feel like our program right now is crystal clean because of this process. It allowed us the time to do that deep dive that we rarely have time to do. And we are so much better for it. So thank you for this process. Gabby, did you want to share?
I did. Hi. I would like to add that why we started our program here in the Santa Maria-Bonita School District. And that was to allow us the opportunity to better meet the needs of our teachers and those in our neighboring schools in a way that closely aligns to our own district's mission and vision. And we take immense pride in the genuine relationships that we build and we have built with our candidates these last few years. We've witnessed that this approach not only supports them through their beginning years as teachers, but it also anchors them in the education profession. And in addition, it also models those supportive connections that we hope that they cultivate with their own students. And so just to end, ultimately, what are we the most proud of? We are proud that this strong foundation provides our candidates with the confidence to step into those leadership roles once they've completed induction. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Now it's an opportunity to see if there are any public comments on this item.
No public comments.
Thank you so much. Now an opportunity for questions or comments from any of our committee members. We have Member Bryant.
Well, I would just like to express my appreciation. I understand, I can see the tremendous amount of work you've put in to have go through this process. It's extensive, it's significant, and you've taken it very seriously, and it shows. The impact is significant. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Any other comments? I'll just add in, it was very clear about intentionality in your program as I read through all the paperwork, and even then sharing right now, like right when there was a new learning, you went ahead and made something because it was done with intention for purpose. And you mentioned you thought about that too, but you're kind of have that wondering that a third party now came in and had that same wondering. So that intentionality, I think, is important because you said it a moment ago, it's crossed over to what happens in the classroom. We want our teachers to be intentional in the supports they're providing their students. So you're being intentional in the supports you're providing the teachers. And it goes back to Christine talked about leadership from the top superintendent down. So with that, I just commend you for your hard work and dedication. This is the site visit for provisional. So just a clarification with approval by the COA, then it goes to the commission for final approval of their induction program.
That is correct.
So then we need a motion for that approval process, which would then move them forward to the commission. And we have our member Hall.
I move to approve Santa Maria-Bonita School District Teacher Induction Program.
Okay. Yes. Excellent. And we have a second. We have member Bryant. And all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Congratulations. You are moving forward. Well done.
Yay, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yes, and they'll be in touch on the commission meeting for that final approval, but thank you for your hard work and dedication. It'll definitely serve your students well.
Great.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.
Thank
Thank
you. Bye.
Thank you.
All right, item 16, excuse me, is the report of accreditation site visit to United States University. Consultant Dr. Rosemary Wren will present this item. Joining her today is team lead Dr. Doris Madrigal, institutional representatives Dr. Scott Burris, University President, Dr. Jennifer Billingsley, University Provost, Dr. Rebecca Wardlow, Dean, College of Education, and Dr. Lori Wellner, Program Director. Does anyone need to recuse themselves?
It's like they're all starting to come in. Give it a second. From the institution. Looks like we're waiting for one more. Oh, there we go.
All right, there's the last one. All right, Dr. Wren, will you begin, please?
Certainly. Thank you and good afternoon, committee members. Item 16 is the site visit report for United States University, which offers a preliminary multiple single subject credential and a bilingual authorization program. The site visit took place via Zoom from November 16th through 19th, 2025. I'd like to thank the leadership team of Dr. Rebecca Wardlow and Dr. Lori Wellner at United States University for their deep commitment to their candidates and their programs. Doris Madrigal served as team lead and also reviewed the common standards. Marita Mahoney reviewed common standards, and Stacy Meyer reviewed both the multiple single subject and the bilingual authorization program standards. Following a careful review of the Commission's accreditation data, documentation provided by the institution, and constituent interviews, the team has made the recommendation of accreditation with stipulations with a 7th year report and a focused revisit. It's now my pleasure to introduce the team lead for the visit, Dr. Doris Madrigal, who will share more details about the visit.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to begin by thanking my colleagues for their outstanding work on this site visit. Every single person contributed to making this a truly meaningful and genuinely enjoyable experience, from our wonderful CTC consultant, Rosemary, to my fellow peer site visit reviewers, Marita and Stacy, and of course the remarkable, and I do want to underscore, bold, italicize, highlight the word remarkable as a descriptor for the United States University program team. Spending time learning more deeply about how United States University prepares California educators to serve public school communities was truly inspiring. The College of Education clearly and powerfully reflects the university's mission to expand access to post-secondary professional education for historically excluded populations. What stood out most was the commitment of the faculty, staff, and field personnel whose work create a deeply personal, relationship-centered experiences that challenges many of our common assumptions about online and asynchronous learning. Across our interviews, stakeholders from every constituency group consistently describe the program using the same words: intentional, caring, responsive, and personal. And that consistency speaks volumes to the work that the institution is doing in educator preparation. Our accreditation recommendation reflects strong confidence in United States University's ability to sustain and possibly expand its geographic and demographic reach with real impact. The findings identified in this review do not limit the institution's ability to deliver high-quality programs, nor do they reflect any concerns about program quality. Rather, we thought of them as discrete and interrelated compliance details for which plans are already underway so that they may be addressed if they haven't already been addressed since our site visit, because they were very responsive throughout the site visit of immediately jumping on any question that we raised. Ultimately, our recommendation is a clear vote of confidence in USU's demonstrated commitment to continuous improvement, and in this case, thoughtful refinement.
Thank you for that. We will now invite the institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. We remind you that this is not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather to provide any thoughts you had about the visit.
Thank you. I'm Rebecca Wardlaw. I'm the Dean of the College of Education at United States University, and I'm delighted to be joined by my colleagues here today. And I'm very pleased to have this opportunity to address the commission. I first want to offer my sincere appreciation to Rosemary Wren. Our collaboration with Rosemary began in October 2023 during our initial one-year out kickoff meeting. Although the site visit was ultimately rescheduled for November of 2025, Rosemary provided unwavering support and guidance throughout the program review process, including the updates to our bilingual program and the integration of the literacy standards and authorizations. We were so grateful to have had her for this very extended length of time, and she has been invaluable to us. I also like to thank the program review team, specifically our team lead, Doris Madrigal, for her invaluable insight, support, and professional assistance throughout the review. She is truly a collaborative peer and a fantastic educator we were very fortunate to collaborate with. At United States University, we take immense pride in our mission. The College of Education is dedicated to supporting candidates across California through an accessible, low-cost credential program that delivers high-quality, relevant preparation aligned with the evolving needs of teacher education. A hallmark of our institution is the unique opportunity for candidates to pursue their degrees without incurring additional debt, thanks to our no-interest monthly payment plan. While our programs remain intentionally personalized, we have supported and addressed the state's educator shortage by completing 244 candidates across our programs between 2021 and August of 2025. We serve a diverse population with an average university student age of 37. We are able to reach candidates from the southernmost regions of California to the northernmost rural areas where access to traditional programs is often limited. Our model offers essential flexibility, providing multiple start dates throughout the year and allowing candidates to remain employed until they begin student teaching our full-time internships. Since our program review and the subsequent report, we have shared the findings with our leadership, developed a comprehensive action plan, and implemented several key changes as of the January 2026 Spring 1 term. These include institutional support. We've met with the president, provost, and CFO to secure resources, budget allocations, and additional college-level support, including the recent posting of a position for an assistant program director for the California Credential Programs. We've hired specialized expertise with a university supervisor credentialed in visual and performing arts to support our candidates in this specific VEPA areas. We've addressed the clinical hours oversight, clarifying the permitted activities for the 600-hour clinical experience requirements within our orientations, student teaching handbooks, and internal record keeping. We've also refined our site supervisor training with training protocols, monitoring systems, to ensure all assigned personnel complete the required training with documented compliance. And finally, our data-driven improvement, we're partnering with our institutional research department to develop a multi-year plan for data collection and analysis aimed at improving both college operations and candidate services. We're eager to document our progress and provide the evidence necessary to address each stipulation. And we look forward to welcoming the team back in the fall of 2026 in order to demonstrate the substantive improvements we have made as a result of the program review and the invaluable site visit feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now go to public comments. Are there any public comments for this item?
No public comments.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from committee members? Yes, Member Lickett.
Yes, I want to commend your university for such great effort in extending from northern, I think you mentioned all the way northern to Southern California. How tremendous, what a great goal. Understanding that you go into rural areas, can you tell us more about how you market your program to look at students and bring students in? Because that's just a tremendous effort.
Honestly, I don't know if I should ask the president to address it, but we have been kind of a grassroots marketing campaign since our inception in 2021 when we were able to kind of reinvent the program. We've been put on hiatus. We had chosen to go on hiatus. We brought the program back in 2021 with the intentionality of being able to serve all of California. So it's really been grassroots marketing, primarily student referrals, some relationships, some just outreach to different districts in different areas. I've worked extensively with some of the different county offices of education to kind of inform them of our program and how we can serve their needs. And I think that adding the internship track has really supported some of those rural districts where it's very difficult, primarily in the secondary areas, to find the folks that they need.
Thank you.
Co-chair McKee.
And also want to commend you. One thing in the report it said is that even though you're fully online, candidates feel that they're seen and known, which is huge. And from the report standpoint, it sounds like there's a lot of great personalized support being provided, which is to be commended for a virtual university. I want to this is actually more of a team question versus a university question. Like I hear the amazing things that are in place, but one of the things as a stipulation number 11 is to not permit them to open up any additional programs. So can you tell a little bit more about maybe why that decision was made if there's so many wonderful things in place as a university?
Yes, absolutely happy to address that. And this was something that we did discuss quite a bit. And again, as I tried to kind of reflect in my statement, it's in no way like punitive or to hold up the great work that they clearly are doing and having actually meaningful impact. You know, I think for many of us, like to your point, brick and mortar institutions, some of us, you know, wish we were having the kind of impact that they're able to have. I think it was more of a way to understand and really kind of honor the small and mighty size of the staff. I think as the dean shared, there's already been discussions at the institution in terms of supporting that growth and team, but our recommendation that they not be allowed to propose new programs was really in an effort to support focusing on strengthening what they already have so that we know that and we want them to expand and increase programs and the impact they have in California, but it was really meant as a kind of a thoughtful partnering of to ensure that you do that, then we just want to be helpful in making sure that you have space and time to address the stipulations before you go off and run the way we want you to run and keep doing the brilliant work that they're doing. I hope
And
that.
I think that definitely answered my question. I appreciate that because then it connects to a question I had for the university, and it is exactly on the thread of what you just said. Because in the report, it talks about how the goal of United States University is to continue geographic expansion. And we look in history, like through accreditation cycles in 2016, there were stipulations, 2017, major stipulations. So it seems that there may be a fall back into stipulations as you're continuing to grow. So the question of the university is, how are you going to continue to grow, but not hit back to a stipulation every 7 years that things aren't where they need to be? Because there's a lot of fantastic things going on. So how do you keep it also aligned to the CTC requirements?
That is a great question. I think part of it is the opportunities we've had to really learn and reflect, and our leadership has changed since the previous version of the program, which was completely ground-based in San Diego, very, very small program, campus-based, with only local school districts, and very difficult at that time to grow and expand that. We've learned so many lessons, we've changed so many things, and we've really been able to operationalize so that we are supporting our students, as you heard, very, very well with our current size. At this point in time, expansion plans would be very much future-based. We have no issues this year with really focusing on the programs that we have, refining the processes that we have, and ensuring that we have removed all of the stipulations that we currently have and are in a place to be poised to add additional personnel, additional resources, and additional programs as we are ready. I hope that helped.
Yeah, that does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kind of a follow-up question to Member McKee, Co-Chair McKee. This is for CTC Doris, if you would please. Looking at all the stipulations and number 10 and 11 specifically, you're providing a 7th-year report and a hosting of a focused revisit. My question is why the decision of accreditation with stipulations rather than with major stipulations?
Yeah, happy to address that. Excuse me. Because we saw that in the majority of the stipulations, if you see, we did cite out the language of the standards, but we saw them really interrelated. So while number-wise, there's quite a bit that could trigger the concern of major because of quantity, we saw them as really kind of grouped together and associated and interrelated to each other. And so we didn't think that it was major in terms of, while there are huge discrepancies or concerns about how the program is executing what they're doing, we saw it more in terms of these are dotting the I's, crossing the T's, not huge handwriting, editing issues that would make the program ineligible. That is why we landed there, and we thought what would be the most helpful, and that is why we also requested the revisit and the report. It was just a way for us to, one, I think we all didn't want to let them go and wanted to see them again, but also to see that because we do know the work is already underway, and it was just a way to critical friend accountability partner, even though we don't have any concerns that this won't be done. We just thought that it would be a helpful reflection of the faith we have that they can get it done, and because we want to see it. We want to see what they come up with because we really were inspired by what they were doing and had multiple conversations about the nuance of what some of our findings were.
Thank you. I do want to clarify, it wasn't the quantity of the stipulations, it was the 3 met with concerns of the common standards I was referring to, but thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that. Were there any other questions or comments from the committee? All right, this is an action item. Do I have a motion to accept the let's see, how would I say that?
Make an accreditation
An accreditation
decision.
decision met with stipulations.
Accreditation stipulations.
Oh, accreditation with stipulations.
I move that we accept the recommendation for accreditations with stipulations for the United States University.
Do I have a second? Member Leggett. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming, and we also have faith that you will address these concerns. It sounds like you've already been doing that ahead of time in your forward thinking, so we appreciate that and hope to see you in the very near future with all of these changes and positive things that you're doing.
We will be back. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to move to item number 17, right on time, by the way, so we're doing well. The report of accreditation site visit to Fairfield, is it Suisun? Suisun. Did I say it right? Suisun? Fairfield-Suisun. Make sure the name is correct, so I want to make sure I pronounce that. Unified School District. Consultants Dr. Elizabeth de los Santos and Dr. Rosemary Wren will present this item. Joining them today is lead Dr. Ursula Estrada Reveles and institutional representative Melissa Farrar, Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment for Fairfield-Suisun. Thank you. Does anyone need to recuse themselves on this item? All right. With that, Dr. de los Santos, welcome. She's here in person. Feel free to begin.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad you got the pronunciation out of the way.
Important.
All right, good afternoon. It is my pleasure to co-present the site visit report for Fairfield. I'm going to say it.
Suisun.
Unified School District with my colleague and the lead consultant on the visit, Dr. Rosemary Wren. The visit took place virtually from December 8th through 10th, 2025. A total of 132 interviews were conducted and the visit proceeded in accordance with all normal protocols. We would like to thank the team from Fairfield.
Suisun. I'm a trainer now.
Preparation for the visit, timely response, requests for additional information, and documentation from the site visit team. I will now turn over to Dr. Wren.
Thank you, Dr. De Los Santos. The site visit team for Fairfield-Suisun Unified School District was composed of team lead and Common Standards reviewer Dr. Ursula Estrada Reveles, Common Standards reviewer Teresa Shockley, and Program Standards reviewer, Lori Nagoka. Following a review of the accreditation website, the publicly reported data, and interviews with constituents of the teacher induction program, the team recommended accreditation with stipulations with a 6-month report and a 7th-year focused revisit. I'll now turn it over to our team lead, Dr. Ursula Estrada Reveles, who will share additional details on the team's findings and recommendations.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. Let me just begin by thanking the team from the Fairfield-Suisun Unified School District. Their level of professionalism, transparency, and responsiveness throughout the accreditation process was definitely notable. I'm presenting on behalf of the accreditation review team following our site visit conducted December the 8th through the 10th of 2025. After a comprehensive review of institutional and program documentation, as well as interviews with district leadership, faculty, candidates, completers, site administrators, and commission staff, the team unanimously recommends accreditation with stipulations. The team found that all preconditions were met and the teacher induction program standards were also met. The findings indicate that the district is operating a viable induction program and is appropriately preparing and recommending candidates for credentials. With regard to the common standards, standards 2 and 3 were met. Candidate recruitment, advisement, and support systems are consistently implemented and candidates receive appropriate fieldwork and clinical experiences in California public schools serving diverse student populations. However, Common Standards 1, 4, and 5 were met with concerns. Under Common Standard 1, the team found insufficient evidence of regular and systematic collaboration among faculty, instructional personnel, PK-12 partners, and external stakeholders, as well as gaps in documentation verifying required faculty qualifications related to diversity, current public school context, and professional practice. Under Common Standard 4, while data are collected, the unit has not demonstrated a fully implemented, comprehensive continuous improvement process that consistently engages partners in data analysis and decision-making. Under Common Standard 5, the team did not find sufficient formal evidence demonstrating measurable program impact on teaching and learning outcomes beyond anecdotal reports. The team did note, however, that district leadership has already begun taking steps to address these concerns, including establishing advisory structures and clarifying plans for more systematic use of data to guide improvement. Accordingly, the team recommends stipulations requiring a 6-month progress report, a 7th-year focused revisit, resolution of the identified concerns, as well as that the district not propose new programs until all stipulations are fully addressed. Based on the evidence reviewed, the team believes Fairfield-Suisun Unified School District has a solid foundation in induction with the leadership of Superintendent Jennifer Sachs and program leaders Kristen Warsaw and Melissa Farrar, is well positioned to resolve the stipulations and achieve full accreditation.
Thank you so much for your report. We now invite the institutional representatives to briefly comment about the visit. We remind you it's not a time to dispute the team's report, but rather to provide any thoughts you have about the visit. Would you like to share anything from the institution?
Sure. Hi, I'm Melissa Farrar, and I am the program lead here at Fairfield-Suisun Unified School District. Very good job getting our names pronounced correctly. It's always a challenge. I would just like to thank our visit team and our consultants who have supported us both through this process. Being green, we've had a very extended time being able to work with the commission through this process as our visit was initially delayed. But we're excited by, and it sounds odd to say, we're excited by the findings because it tells us where we need to grow and where we need to develop. So we've already started addressing the findings that you just heard about. So we've begun the process to do a new job description, and that's routing through our own internal processes. We've revamped our advisory board. Previously, our program had been very tied in our district to our PAR committee work. And so separating it out from the PAR committee and needing to establish additional partners is right on track with where we are. And so we've already reached out to some local IAG representatives and other programs in our area to be able to form our advisory board. That's going to be the foundational piece for our work in our continuous cycle for improvement, which is a focus our district has really taken on in the last year and a half as well. So we've been working with the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence, or CCEE, to work on systematic district-wide processes for continuous improvement. And within that is looking at the induction component of that. So this is something our district has really taken on as a whole. And we look to be able to, in the next year, share out our progress in that cycle as it relates specifically to our induction program. We'd just like to say thank you very much for your consideration today.
Thank you so much. It's an opportunity now for a public comment. Do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
Thank you. And from our committee members, any questions or comments for the institution or review team? We have Member Hillis.
Could you speak a little bit more about your newly revised advisory board, it sounds like, and I think specifically around the issue of that cycle of continuous improvement, because I know oftentimes advisory boards, we kind of speak at advisory boards, or maybe I do, And so I'm curious how you're going to actually solicit input from them, especially as it's related to the data.
Sure. So our advisory board initially was just internal district members. And so being able to seek outside members, we've had partnerships with other IHEs in our area where we don't have a local university. It's not like we're UC Davis connected to Davis Joint Unified School District. So we don't have anybody that's in our immediate area. So we've been able to connect with a local representative from our UMass partnerships that we have, as well as we've got somebody else coming on board from Grand Canyon University to help us with some of that outside work, as well as colleagues from the Napa program, the Napa County Office of Education program, to be able to have those additional voices to check where we are and what we're doing to ensure that we are in alignment. So our process really is looking at not just candidate participation, which was identified really in the report of, we have a lot of anecdotal evidence that things are going well and that our candidates feel supported, but we don't have a lot of student outcome data for the teachers in our program to demonstrate exceptional practice. And so that is really where we're looking at gathering that data. And again, that's a district-wide thing. So a lot of our focuses are in our district has historically been on, oh, we're seeing participation results, but we're not seeing actual outcomes for students. And so really looking at how as a whole we're strengthening that system so that we're seeing the teacher efficacy as it impacts student achievement and student progress towards standards and graduation requirements.
Thanks.
Any other committee members? Also an action item. So if no other comments or questions, if anyone has a motion, that's an option as well. We have Member Hallis.
I move to accept the report and a recommendation of accreditation with stipulations for the Fairfield-Suisun Unified School District.
We have a second. We have Member Hillis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. And motion carries. So thank you so much just for your program's growth mindset, for being open to the ideas that you can continually improve and examine the process as a way to grow your own program, much like you are a grow your own program. And so just commendable work that you're doing there. And we look forward to hearing from you in the future. Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Estrada Rivelas, Dr. Wren, Dr. De Los Santos, along with Mrs. Farr.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you as well.
All right, moving on, excuse me, to item 18 is the discussion of the first quarterly report for CSU Channel Islands. Consultant Dr. Frances Keller will present this item. Joining her today are institutional representatives, Dr. Nancy Hensel, Interim Dean, Dr. Kathy Howard, Faculty Director of Clinical Experiences and Partnerships and Accreditation, Dr. Jan Greer, Chair of Teacher Education and Foundations, Dr. Chris Yeager, Program Coordinator, Education Specialist Credential. Does anyone need to recuse themselves? Member Hillis? All right, Dr. Keller, will you begin, please?
Yes, good afternoon, committee members. Item 18 presents California State University at Channel Islands' first quarterly report. An accreditation site visit was held for Channel Islands on October 5th through 8th of this last year. And the report of that visit was presented to the Committee on Accreditation at its October 2025 meeting. Following discussion and deliberation of the report and its recommendations, the COA took action to set the accreditation status to be accreditation with major stipulations. One of the stipulations requires CSU Channel Islands to provide quarterly reports. This item presents the first of these quarterly reports. A link to the site visit team's accreditation report, as was presented in October 2025, is linked on page 1 of this item, and a link to the first quarterly report can be found
on their quarterly reports webpage, but that's also linked on page 2 of the item. The 6 stipulations that CSU Channel Islands is required to address through these quarterly reports are listed on pages 2 and 3 of this item. Just as a refresher, some of the broader themes that came out of the findings by the accreditation site visit team included concerns regarding the institutional and programmatic structures for data and progress monitoring, design and implementation of a comprehensive continuous improvement process, and within the ed specialist or the education specialist program, that new content, activities, assignments, and evaluation criteria have been added to address the alignment with the program standards and the teaching performance expectations. Since this is the first quarterly report, much of the information that you will find is focused on the plans the institution has to address stipulations, and any actions that have been taken since October have also been included. Staff is recommending that the report be accepted as CSU Channel Islands continues its progress in addressing the stipulations in subsequent quarterly reports. I would now like to turn this presentation over to institutional representatives with Dr. Catherine Howard to briefly comment on the report.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the committee for considering our report. Thank you, Francis, for that lovely overview. In the time since we received our site visit report, significant progress has been made across all stipulations in Q1. The School of Education has moved from ad hoc processes to systematized approaches for continuous improvement, stakeholder engagement, and candidate tracking. The combination of reconstituted advisory structures, enhanced data systems, I'm going to talk about the PeopleSoft credential modification in particular, which is one of my favorite things, and refined program level processes positions the unit well to meet the CTC requirements within the 1-year timeline while building sustainable quality improvement infrastructure. And we really hope to meet all of the stipulations by the end of this academic year. As far as stipulation number 1, which addressed unit level continuous improvement, we are in progress on that. We have a unit level continuous improvement plan under development. We have already started developing it, and we're going to hold meetings in the spring to continue to work on that plan. We've built a Canvas page so that a unit level assessment and continuous improvement plan and system can be put in place, where we will provide information, resources, and data, meeting summaries, annual reports, and people will be able to be held accountable and have due dates for these things along the way. We've held multiple stakeholder meetings as well across faculty, staff, and leadership, including a meeting with our campus institutional research team to provide information about how they might support our data efforts. And we have 2 unit-wide meetings planned for spring. In the first meeting of the School of Education, we're going to ask faculty, staff, and other stakeholders what questions and data they would like to start with this year. And then in the spring meeting, we're going to bring data, examine it, discuss a plan for improvement, and create a report of actions to be taken. We have a lot of progress on improving data systems. So for example, our assessment analyst role is being examined and refocused. We have a training plan so that we become better adept at utilizing the systems we already have in place and the data that we already have, such as a training on our own watermark student learning and licensure system so that we can better utilize the data which tracks TPEs across the candidates' progress through our program. The really cool thing is the CSU Chancellor's Office already collects a lot of data for us, and we have those dashboards available. So the Canvas page will help us to ensure that people are looking at that data and utilizing it for program improvement. So I'm going to move to stipulation number 2, which is program level continuous improvement. Our programs have already created continuous improvement plans and submitted them to the unit, including single subject and education specialist. The multiple subject plan needs some revision and revisiting, so they're still working on it. Single and multiple subject programs have both analyzed the previous year's CalTPA results, so they're already engaging in data analysis and continuous improvement, and they're going to continue looking at credential dashboards from the CSU in the spring. The Education Specialist Program has structured a continuous improvement cycle, which we submitted, and a new program-specific conceptual framework was created. And they have created a biannual continuous improvement cycle incorporating signature assignments, observations, CalTPA results, and data dashboards. Stipulation number 2A, stakeholder engagement structures. So we've made a lot of progress on this thanks to our interim dean, who's been doing an amazing job of supporting us. She has created, along with us, an SOE advisory committee. She reconstituted this. It's already met in September. We have another meeting. We had a meeting in November, and then a second meeting, again, will take place in February. We're also considering an advisory structure, which includes more than just the SOE advisory board. So things like program advisory committees, subject matter advisory committees, and other ways to partner with our local partners. Let me see. Oops. Sorry.
Just a quick advisement. We have
Yeah.
the stipulations in the report in front of us. So maybe on the last two parts, just any last quick summary on that, because we do have an opportunity for COA to ask questions as well. And we have most of this in front of us.
Okay.
So anything else you want to highlight that maybe some information to clarify anything that was provided?
Sure. Well, in addition to what was provided, we've made additional progress. I'm not sure if it says in the report, but we piloted this CSU PeopleSoft bolt-on module, which will allow us to track our candidate progress from the time they apply all the way to when they receive their credential recommendation. And so we have piloted that, and it's planned to be implemented in March. So we're thinking by fall, we will have it all up and running and be utilizing that bolt-on module for our students. I think that's about it. I think if you have everything in front of you, I can take questions.
And my apologies, no, not trying to interrupt, but I just definitely want you to know that we do have that information, but there may be some additional information that our committee members might have. So I appreciate all that you've done to prepare.
All right, thank you. Are there any public comments for this item?
No public comments.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the committee members? Yes, Member Bryant.
So thank you for sharing your extensive plans that you've developed. I'm curious if you can speak to changes in current practice that you have implemented right away in response to the site visit.
So I think one of the changes in current practice that we've already implemented, again, is the advisory board structures. That's one of the things that needed to be reconstituted. And so we already have those meetings underway. Another big change is the fact that the programs have been refocused so that they are engaging in regular continuous improvement within their programs, looking at data and ensuring that that's part of their regular practice as they meet as a program. I'm what am I forgetting? I guess the other people here can maybe jump in.
Can I ask a follow-up question to Member Bryant? I think, and maybe my wondering also kind of is on that train of thought. In the first report, and I think Dr. Keller spoke about this, it talks about a lot of will but I think we're maybe looking for what's been completed beyond what will be completed. And I think that was acknowledged in the beginning. There's a lot of plans of the will, but what is in the last quarter, what's been completed? And that's our ongoing piece to make sure there's stuff in action that's already has happened versus everything that will happen, kind of differentiating.
Yeah, so I think I'm really proud of the progress that the team has made. We had like for the last 6 weeks, the faculty was off contract, so we really had about a month or less to work on what you all were suggesting for us after the visit. But I am really proud of the fact that the programs have jumped in and they've all created their program level continuous improvement plans. So that was a good starting point for us to start with what each program was going to do each semester and each year to ensure that they're looking at data. Another thing that I think has been really great is the education specialist program has created new rubrics and new plans for their field and clinical placements so that they're meeting the stipulations that were indicated in the report. And so they already have a plan in place that will begin to be implemented for those experiences that their students need.
Other questions or comments from the committee? Yes.
My other question, kind of a follow-up, and thank you for that, because you're right, with the winter break and different things happening, I think that's something we might look forward to now in this next quarter. It sounds like spring was mentioned a lot, so that's good. Spring's here, coming up. So on the next report, we may see some of that. And one thing I'm curious about is then how are departments going to kind of begin to work together as one unit? Because it seemed like there's some departments, and if department's the wrong word, some different credentialing areas that are moving at different speeds and different directions that they might be able to learn from each other and maybe drive more as a unit than divisions. And so what work might be done, or is that maybe still being done, that instead of dividing, coming together as an organization?
Well, we do have quite regular leadership meetings. Just yesterday, I was at the Teacher Education Department Program Coordinators meeting, and we hold regular teacher education meetings. And then we also have school-wide meetings that occur on a regular basis at the unit level. And we have unit leadership meetings. And those unit leadership meetings provide a lot of that kind of coherence and sort of, steering in the same direction amongst us so that we are working together. And there's a lot of unit level things that this report indicates need to happen with systematicity and with some coherence across the entire unit. And so that's part of why a lot of this is in progress. We need the time to ensure that we are making this work for all of our programs and students' needs.
I'd like to just add one thing, two things, I guess. One is we have department chair meetings where we share this information, and also the coordinators for each of the programs will be meeting soon, and hoping to kind of create for them more frequent meetings so they can share what's happening in each of their areas.
May I paraphrase? It sounds like you guys are moving slow to move fast, which is not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Is sometimes you do have to go a little bit slower to do things methodically, because the last thing you want to do is to negatively impact the students you're serving through decisions you're making. Did I paraphrase that a little bit more of the intentionality of process then?
Yes.
I think that's right. We want to make sure that we are, as we're designing this system, it's going to work for everybody. And it's not going to be something, what my concern is especially for assessment and continuous improvement, is ensuring that it's not something that's just imposed from the outside, but it's something that will really be useful and able to be sustained by the folks who need to sustain it. So even if I wasn't here tomorrow, it would be something that was created by all of us, that serves all of us, so that we are sustaining it more organically.
That's wise. Thank you.
Any other committee comments or questions? All right, this is an action item. Do I have a motion to accept the first quarterly report for CSU Channel Islands? Thank you, Member Sykes. Do I have a second? Member Hall, thank you. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, say no. All right, the motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Hensel, Dr. Howard, Dr. Greer, Dr. Yeager, and Dr. Keller.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here, and best of luck moving forward and continue that improvement and making those strides. We look forward to seeing you next quarter.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, we are at item number 19 at 2 o'clock exactly. I don't know how we're doing this, but it's going well. Discussion of the 6-month report.
Yeah.
Our compliments to Cheryl Hickey. She's trained us well on how to put together a 6-month report for CSU East Bay. We have consultants, Dr. Francis Keller, welcome back. Art Boyd, welcome back. And they'll present this item. Joining them today are institutional representatives, Dr. Carrie O'Neill, Dean of the College of Letters, Arts and Social Sciences, Peg Winkleman, Interim Associate Dean, School of Education, and you're here in person, so thank you. Dr. Greg Jennings, Chair of Educational Psychology, and Dr. Shadi Rochendell, Chair of Teacher Education. And do we have everybody here? It looks like we got your team behind you. Does anyone need to recuse themselves on this item? All right, Dr. Keller, Hart, Boyd, will you please begin?
I'll take it.
Excellent.
Agenda item 19 provides an overview of the 6-month progress report submitted by California State University East Bay. Cal State East Bay's site visit was held from April 27th through the 30th, and the approved accreditation status set by this body for the institution was accreditation with stipulations, with specific stipulations tied to the education unit and the Clear Administrative Services Program, Education Specialist Mild to Moderate and Extensive Support Needs Programs, and the Reading and Literacy Added Authorization Program. The full institutional response of efforts undertaken so far for each stipulation is linked on pages 1 and 6 of the item, along with brief summaries of those efforts listed on pages 2 through 6. Staff will continue to meet with the leadership team from Cal State East Bay over the next 6 months to ensure the stipulations are fully addressed, and then we'll bring back the final report at a future COA meeting. With that, institutional representatives are available with Peg here live and in person to discuss any questions you may have regarding the progress report. Thank you.
We now invite the institutional, did you want to add on? Okay, we invite the institutional representatives if you'd like to briefly comment about the report.
We're being briefly. I'd like to say publicly what I've said privately to Art and Francis and Cheryl, which is that this accreditation report was well observed, well considered, and well written, and it provided us with fresh eyes to further our continuous improvement as a unit and an institution. We have strong programs and departments, as you can see our representation behind me. Dr. Catherine Hayes was unable to make it, but leadership is also with us. And we now have further developed structures, ways of learning from one another to improve our educator preparation. So you see that in our Council of Chairs meetings, our strategic planning meetings, our meetings with local school districts that are now collaborative. We've also further developed our pathways with undergraduate students at the most diverse public university in the United States. We are all especially excited about that because strengthening pipelines for aspiring educators who represent historically marginalized populations in California is critical this time. So I guess our question all of you is we see ourselves as moving forward. We met with our leadership, with not just our Dean, Carrie O'Neill, but with the provost and his team. And we know that we have support at the unit and institutional level. And we're excited about our cycle of continuous improvement.
Thank you so much. And do we have any public comment on this item?
No public comments.
Opportunity now for our committee members. Do any comments or questions you have for the institution? We have Member Hillitz.
So I'm gonna probably continue to talk about data. And one thing that you talked about in this, in terms of responding to this stipulation was ensuring program coordinators could access completer data through the data dashboard. But I don't see what that data is. And so I'm curious, what kind of data do they now have access to? And what's it actually beginning to reveal to you? And how are you bringing that into that cycle?
So probably the best example on the data was the Cal APA. We didn't realize that there was a program coordinator who was not readily accessing that. And so where we see that in the report is that she was able to bring that actually in August to her group of fieldwork coaches and faculty, and they're working collaboratively and actually revise syllabi and assignments to better address where they collectively saw program completers having difficulties. Is that the answer? Yeah. So that's one example. And then the other really fun, because data can be fun. Example is at our Council of Chairs meetings where Shadi brought in her data dive calendar for her department for the whole year. Again, a brilliant structure that now can be used across departments. So yeah, we're enjoying our data dives.
Good. Thanks.
Yes, we have Member Hallis.
Again, kudos on the hard work and the things you've already implemented. I do see the CASC ongoing coach training and for the mild to moderate and extensive supports, that new Canvas page. I'm curious how they've been received and what type of data or voice you're getting around their rollout to keep refining it and making it better.
Again, what's exciting, right, is working with program coordinators who are completely dedicated. And so, for instance, in making students more aware of requirements, what happened is, actually this happened in late August. I have all my dates memorized, is they did this rollout, with the handbook, et cetera, and, low stakes quiz, but just to check in so that not just all the candidates, but again, it's that merging of the folks who are supporting in the field work as well as the folks who are teaching courses, right? To say, yeah, this is what we're going to be doing. So actually, one might think it's one more thing, but in both cases, our program coordinators, the support from our department chairs who are actually ready to go and really excited. And that transferred over to students who've been quite engaged. Our candidates.
Anyone else? I want to extend something I shared earlier, but I want to commend your institution on is I saw in the report you're working as a unit. The creation of the Graduate School of Education clearly is putting your unit together to have conversations that is going to bridge one institution versus all these divisions or departments, whatever they may be called, separately. You figured out how to bring them together. And I think that'll serve well with the data because you're serving one group of students, right? They may be going in different departments, but it's one institution. And then I also saw that you're creating more, there's evidence of working with P12, and I think that's important. And there's a lot of agendas. One thing from a third party, I would just say is a suggestion. because we don't know all the names of the people, it was hard to determine. We saw lists of names. I don't know if they're from East Bay. I don't know if they're from a school district. So maybe on future reports, the agenda could say, and this person's from this school district or this county. So a third party can go, yeah, I see 8 people at the meeting, but how do I know they're from P12? Does that make sense?
No, and I was thinking about that particularly in one of the evening meetings we had with representatives from across the Bay Area. Some of whom were actually, because Cal State East Bay serves an extensive area. So we often have superintendents, associate superintendents, et cetera, who are our program grads. And so we're actually building upon that, right? What a great way to build. And we got some great feedback on the ground about preparation. And also one of the things I'm excited about, if you know CSU, when I talk pipeline, is looking for admission for K-12, right? So you have teacher cadet programs, right? West Contra Costa has them at 2 different high schools to come in. Undergrad, because we've got that connection more tightly built now, thanks to our dean and the other deans, and then come into the program. So great point. We had a lot of meetings, if you read the report.
The agendas were there.
Yeah, and the agendas were real, right? And the reports are real. So the documents, they don't all look the same because they actually came from, in that case that I referenced, it was Dr. Catherine Hayes, who's the department chair for Ed Leadership. So she was conducting that meeting. So, if it looked a little different, right, in terms of who was attending than the Council of Chairs meeting agenda or our meeting with West Contra Costa Unified or our meeting with Mount Diablo. So thank you. I can adjust that. When I was working with the team, I was trying to kind of negotiate. What I loved was the authenticity of the evidence that we were able to provide. Those were the slides, our aspiring educators. Those were the slides that our undergraduates actually saw, that the different groups. So yes, for our 1-year report, I can take a special eye on that.
It's because the standard and the stipulation speaks to systematic and regular. So to show there's a system and regularity, and if West Contra County's name was on all of those, it shows that that district is threaded through, which is systematic and regular. Does that make sense? Like all it does is the evidence that what's in the language. But again, kudos, because clearly a lot is going on. This is any other comments, is the action item. If anyone would like to place a motion or have further questions or comments. I have member Hall. I'll just always look around.
I move to approve Cal State University East Bay's mid-year report.
I do have a second. Member Hallis, well, I should have looked right. My apologies. But all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. So motion passes, and thank you so much for your hard work. I want to layer on something just for the committee members here. I shared with Cheryl Hickey earlier, and since you're here, I want you to hear this as well. I found your report very easy to read and personally, and I wanted to get our committee members, because if all reports are written in a table form where here's the stipulation, here's the evidence, it remarkably was easier to tell. And I almost want this to be like a standard, but that's my voice. Thoughts from, I see a lot of heads nodding, like second.
Yeah.
It's not an action item, but a curiosity item. And for you to be here in person, you made our job easier. And it sounds like, does anyone want to add on to the thought on the review? Was it easier to read in a table where here's all the information laid out? Yes, Member Sykes.
I would just add, it was very clear to read through, and then I think supported with, what's being shared out right now. So it's like, I don't have any other further comments or questions for the team, because it's all right here. So thank you for the organization on that.
And I just want to share, that was the reason I didn't have any further questions, because every question that I had, I was able to clearly find an answer. So kudos to your organization and for setting the standard for how others should go.
And although not an action item with the nods in the room, if that's something that people are giving us reports in a table-like form, here's the stipulation, here's what we're doing, and then link inside there other things to their point. Just because we don't have a comment doesn't mean, I mean, it's all there. And that's to be celebrated that you're leading forward. So I'm glad you stayed on the video call and that you stayed here in person, because it really is a model of kind of what we're looking for across all programs who are in this stage. And member Hall.
I would just like to add, if you could add, we are working on, or we plan to, versus we are doing as the first few words in that cell, that would be glorious. Because it really does matter. We are already doing this versus we plan to do, and then when. Just that little blurb would be lovely.
You reminded me of the Cal APA and Cal TPA. They tell people to boldface the words from the rubric in your response, right? Like that's a strategy. Boldface in stipulation 1, we are doing this. Our next steps in stipulation 1 is doing this. Then we're not reading through 15 pages trying to figure out where is this landing, because it's not about giving us more. It's about just giving us what's there. And we're not trying to add more to people's plates. And if Hart and Francis, if you were a part of the advisement on this as well, thank you to the 3 of you collectively, or your institution itself, if that was from you, because it showcases beautifully. So thank you. That was just a side note.
Wonderful. We'll take that under advisement and see if we can come up with a template that could be used in the future.
Thank you.
Templates, everybody knows how much I love templates.
Peter's like templates.
It's going on my tombstone.
That was a template. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Even with that, we're pretty close to being on time here.
Yes.
Okay, we are moving on to item 20. Item 20 is the program approval recommendations. We are now going into part 2 of this. Program approvals. This is the continuation from earlier today, program approval items. In this section, there are 4 institutions with 4 programs for approval. Alameda County Office of Education. We have them coming in. Oh, it's right here. All right. Alameda County Office of Education is proposing a teacher induction program. Joining us today from Alameda County Office of Education to answer any questions you may have about the program are Dana Wickner, Program Director, Induction and Coaching, and Sarah Glasband, Executive Director of Educator Development. Do we have any recusals on this item?
I think Committee Member Sykes.
Yes.
Do we still have?
We have quorum. Is that okay?
We have a quorum. As long as we have a quorum, we can move forward.
Thank you.
Would the institutional representatives like to say anything about the proposal that they have put forth?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Dana Wickner. The Alameda County of Education is proud to be considered in our proposal to offer a high-quality, low-cost induction program in our East Bay region. The teacher induction program is embedded within the Professional Advancement and Training Hub at ACOE. Our vision is to provide a stable workforce in our districts and county that mirrors our communities. Teacher induction is an essential step on path towards building a strong instructional community for newly credentialed and veteran teachers, and it's a pivotal tool towards ensuring teacher retention and continuous development. As a county office, we strive to provide services and support for teacher pathway development, credentialing, and retention for each of our 18 districts and our own county and community schools. Our induction program will connect teachers and mentors with opportunities to observe, calibrate, and connect across our communities. For example, just yesterday, we facilitated peer observations and debriefs across 3 of our Alameda County districts. Foundational to the ACOE induction program is the idea that teacher goals are formed through robust inquiry into students' instructional experiences and learning context. The individualized learning plan guides candidates to use student empathy interviews and a student feedback survey to develop and understand the impact of their inquiry. Each candidate and mentor benefit from frequent one-on-one meetings and professional learning offered at the county office tailored towards their goals. We are very grateful to be here and happy to answer any questions you all may have. Thank you for your thoughtful consideration.
Thank you. Are there any public comments for this item?
No public comments.
All right. Do any committee members have any questions for the representatives from Alameda County Office of Education? Yes, Co-Chair McKee.
I want to commend you for building in a differentiated mentor training. I love that you have something for new mentors and veteran mentors because no one wants to be in a meeting where they already heard that information. So differentiating that is great. I also thought it was really positive how you have really structured systems in place for tracking. So my question comes from like with the automated pieces you're using like through Google. How are you making sure there's still authentic, meaningful feedback? Because sometimes spreadsheets can automate themselves and it just looks like they got done and boxes are checked, and we don't want induction to be about checking boxes. We want that authentic feedback. So I think it was a little bit said in the report, but could you elaborate?
Sure. Our feedback system, we do every piece of feedback that we have. While it is housed on a sheet, we do it all on our one-on-one check-ins with the mentors and biannually with the candidates as well. So while they're putting the information onto the sheets, we're really talking through in those regular check-ins we have with everybody about how it's going and what exactly is happening in each one to ensure that it's being done with fidelity.
Thank you. I always worry about losing the human factor as we integrate technology. So I'm glad that you found ways to integrate technology while including the human factor in the process to make it authentic. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the teacher induction program for Alameda County Office of Education?
Yeah, motion to approve the teacher induction program at Alameda County Office of Education.
Do I have a second? All right, thank you, Member Hall. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you so much for being here and congratulations. And thank you for all that you're doing and the options you're providing the induction candidates and the support you're giving.
Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you.
Bye. Does anybody need a break?
We are 5 minutes ahead. How about we take a 5-minute break because Butte County is going to be at 2:30, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're good at a 5-minute break. We'll be back again at 2:30. Thank you. We are back, and just for the record, Member Hill has had to step out for a little bit, so he'll be back. Next institution is the Butte County Office of Education's Clear Administrative Services credential. Joining us today from Butte County Office of Education to answer any questions you may have about the program is Tracy Allen, Senior Director of Professional Learning Student Programs and Educational Support. Are there any recusals on this item? There are none. Tracy, thank you for your patience as we took a quick break. We appreciate that. Would the institutional representatives like to say anything about their proposed program?
Yes, first of all, good afternoon. Thank you so much for this opportunity. At the Butte County Office of Education, the Butte Clear Administrative Services Credential Program is grounded in a core belief of putting students first, a commitment that guides all of our work within the Student Programs and Educational Support Division where the program is housed. The program is designed to support new administrators by developing leadership capacity aligned to the California Professional Standards for Educational Leaders through a coherent system of individualized coaching, formative assessment, and job-embedded learning. Each candidate is paired with a highly qualified trained coach at the start of their contracted year and completes capsule-aligned self-assessments across the 2-year program. These assessments will inform individualized induction plans that function as a living document, revisited regularly with the coach to support growth and refine leadership practice to ensure highly prepared and effective educational leaders. One element that is unique to our proposal is its intentional focus on meeting the realities of rural leadership. New administrators in rural contexts often serve in multiple roles, lead within deeply relational communities, and have limited access to nearby credentialing programs. The Butte CAS program was designed to ensure equitable access to high-quality administrative induction that is responsive and grounded in the day-to-day work of rural school leaders. Another distinguishing feature is the long-standing and collaborative partnership between Butte County Office of Education and CSU Chico's School of Education. This partnership creates a seamless leadership continuum from preparation to induction, with shared responsibility for candidate success and strong alignment between university preparation and county-based support, an approach that is especially critical in rural areas. At its core, the Butte CAS program is designed not simply to credential administrators, but to sustain leadership in rural communities by developing confident, reflective leaders who lead with clarity, equity, and purpose from their earliest years in administrations. I'd like to thank you all for your time today.
Thank you so much. And do we have any public comments?
No public comments.
Now is an opportunity for any committee members if you have any questions or comments for the institution. I'd like to share, I thought it is commendable, your plan for training of coaches. There's that initial orientation, plus a full day training, plus the monthly meetings. And to have that candidate success, you need to have the coaches set up for success. So I'm wondering, that kind of goes alongside that, since you are a county, how are you going to navigate like all those different schedules people might have to be able to get administrators to be able to be a part of these trainings?
Yeah, great question. So one of the things, that COVID did make possible are these virtual opportunities that we have. And what we have found, even with the teacher induction, and providing that mentoring support, is the opportunity for a variety of virtual sessions. So regardless of what's happening during that core day, folks would be able to access the training remotely, regardless of geographically they may be within the region. And that will definitely come into play with our CAS program as well.
Get another exemplar of how you're supporting leadership in a rural area, because that's definitely probably one of the things you have to be able to do is get people to come together who are not close by each other. So definitely well thought out. Any questions, wonderings, and this is an action item for any motions as well. You have Member Sykes.
Yeah, given that you're supporting administrators in rural areas, what are some ways you tailor PD or resources to meet the needs and the unique demands of the job working in a rural area?
That's a great question. So we are very fortunate because we are a smaller county office. We have built over the years quite incredible relationships with administrators and superintendents across Region 2, which is the region in which BCOE sits in. And the nice thing about those relations is that we are able to tap into job-alike pairings, meaning if you are a superintendent / principal of a K-8 school, chances are we already have that relation, which is he's actually on one of our coaching rosters, of someone that is leading that work. And I think in that rural context, that from what the feedback we have received has been missing, because oftentimes understanding the myriad of hats that administrators are wearing in those rural kind of compilations of districts and charter schools is missing throughout a lot of our programs from what I've heard across the state.
Thank you. Other thoughts, questions, wonderings, or motions?
All right, I'll make the motion.
We have a motion from Member Hall.
To approve the Butte County Office of Education Administrative Services credential.
Clear?
Clear. Sorry.
Do we have a second from Member Leggett? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Tracy, and Butte County Office of Education.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has definitely been a passion project, and we are very excited to bring this to our rural communities. So thank you all again. Appreciate your time.
Well, we wish you the absolute very best. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. The next institution is Vanguard University, adding an intern pathway to an existing mild to moderate support needs education specialist preliminary credential program. Joining us today from Vanguard University to answer any questions you may have about the program are Dr. Joanne M. Van Boxtel, Associate Professor, Faculty Director for Special Education, Dr. Jeff Hittenberger, Dean of the School of Education, and Dr. Nathan Bryce, Assistant Director of Graduate Education. Do we have any recusals on this item? No. Would the institutional representatives like to say a few things about the proposed program?
Yes, I would. Thank you, everyone, and good afternoon. We are pleased to be up for approval for our education specialist mild moderate support needs intern pathway. This pathway is aligned tightly to our traditional pathway, and it embodies our School of Education mission, which is education for love and wisdom. It is a 3-semester program and 39 units. We believe the pathway will provide more opportunities for our graduate students who have experience in the field, while also meeting district special education teacher shortage needs, as we aim to provide a high level of support to both our candidates and our district support providers. Our pathway, this intern pathway, evolved from a strong collaboration with one of our key district partners. That is Dr. April Moore, Superintendent of Sierra Sands Unified School District. She's actually a member of our Teacher Advisory Council and approached my dean and I about the possibility of an intern pathway. So from that initial conversation, we've met with her and her team multiple times as we've designed the program to ensure the pathway remains high quality to prepare the candidates with the knowledge and skills they need to be successful and to persist in the field. And the SSUSD team was instrumental in helping us expand our vision of support for our intern candidates and our site support providers, as well as district intern program leads. They also contributed to our MOU in its draft form and mapping out responsibilities that we've defined together. So we're really grateful for their input as well as the input of our Special Education Advisory Council members, which also includes some current and retired intern education specialist teachers, as well as special education administrators, parents, and community members. So we have 2 other districts that are interested in partnering with us once we are approved for this intern pathway. So thank you so much for your consideration, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you so much. Right now we'll go to public comments. Are there any public comments?
No public comment.
Thank you. Do any committee members have any questions for the representatives from Vanguard University? Member Sykes.
Just reading how your intended, target audience is district para educators, and curious to hear kind of what you see the needs are within your local districts, as well as like what have been the initial recruitment efforts to support para educators in entering into a teacher credentialing pathway.
Sure. As far as our current recruitment efforts with para educators, that is ongoing with our traditional program, and our Special Education Advisory Council and Teacher Ed Advisory Council have been really instrumental in helping us get the word out, because our traditional pathway is only about a year old. We were just approved for that pathway. And as far as paraeducators, a pipeline for the intern pathway, as I mentioned, one of the districts that's interested in partnering with us is San Diego Unified, and they do have a grant program, a Grow Your Own pipeline, and they're specifically waiting to hear from us about the intern pathway, because that's the pathway they're most interested in for their district. So our program, both the intern pathway and the traditional pathway, is primarily online with some in-person options as well. So we are excited that they are interested in partnering with us, and we've also already had a preliminary meeting with their district leads.
Any other comments or questions from the committee? All right, this is an action item. Do I have a motion to approve adding an intern pathway to an existing mild to moderate support needs education specialist preliminary credential program for Vanguard University? All right, I have a motion by committee member Leggett. Do I have a second? Member Hall, thank you. All those in favor say aye. And opposed, say no. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here and best of luck with your program.
Thanks so much. Also, just a special thank you to Tim Weeks and William Hattrick in consulting with us and designing this. So thank you all for your time. Have a great day.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.
Thank you. Our final institution is San Diego County Office of Education, adding the bilingual authorization in Spanish. We'd like to welcome back to our meeting, Carrie Morgan, Director, Teacher Effectiveness and Preparation, Human Resources Services, and Dr. Shavay Jones, Executive Director, Teacher Effectiveness and Preparation, Human Resource Services. Do we have any recusals on this item? We have Member Hallis. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, unless we have another recusal. Then we are good. We have quorum. We're good. Member Hallis is still out. He'll be back.
Yes, you're right. That's right.
So thank you. Welcome back. We have one recusal and we have quorum. So with that, welcome back. I know we're maybe a little bit early. Is Shavay going to be joining us? Or Carrie, are you here? Just you?
It'll just be me. She's traveling right now. Yeah.
And you're welcome, not just you, but it's good to have you here. So with that, it's an opportunity. We just want to make sure we didn't leave anyone out in the waiting room. So with that, it's your opportunity to share with us anything you'd like to share about your proposed program. Thank you for joining us again this afternoon.
All righty. Well, thank you very much. It is great to be back here again. For the bilingual authorization, I really wanted to start off thanking the commission and the IPR consultants and the review team for the guidance and support throughout the process. We genuinely appreciated the thoughtful feedback as it energized our team and strengthened our work. So we've have a few programs, and going through IPR and going through program review, I just have to throw this out there. This is some of the best feedback I have ever gotten on an IPR. Like, it was amazing. Whoever did our preconditions and our program standards and our common standards, I had brought alongside one of our coordinators who has his learning accreditation in programs to go through the process with me. And it was just like the perfect way to set someone up to understand accreditation standards, meeting standards, evidence. So I know I'm not really talking about our program, but it stood out. This IPR stood out for sure in all the good ways. So having said that, we are hopeful and ready to offer BLA Spanish, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'm here for any questions you have.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you also for acknowledging the CTC's IPR team. That I know is appreciated for all of them. Are there any public comments on this item?
No public comments.
Thank you. And opportunity for any members of our committee to offer any questions, wonderings, comments? My wondering, because this looks like it might be a fully online and asynchronous program, and just in general wondering that we're all navigating, how do you plan to leverage and navigate the use of AI to ensure authentic program completion? I know everyone smiles when these are asked, but I think it's the reality, right, that we're in.
It is very much so. So as a county office in teacher effectiveness, we're having these conversations in our groups for current AI usage in our programs and what's appropriate usage. And really, we know the stance is how to use it and how to appropriately use it, and then how to help teachers have their students use it appropriately. Because it reminds me of, this is going to sound so old. It reminds me of when the internet first came out and we all had to learn how to use that. in in teaching. So thankfully, this program will be coming in along the heels of having those conversations. And it is, I think of us as being a bit more proactive with our candidates and our instructors of the expectations, what we're looking for. And there is monitoring. Once you use it so much, you kind of get a feel for what may be AI and what may not. And so we have a little bit of a review process internally when it comes to that. If we have some questionings or some wonderings that we'll bring right to the candidates and involve the instructors as well. But I do think being proactive, going back to this, in setting up our students for success, our candidates and our instructors with the appropriate usage of AI and how it can really benefit educators is the way to go with it, because it's not going anywhere. It's staying around.
I appreciate that, Carrie, and for the record, I started college with a typewriter, so I do get that time has changed. Any other questions? We have member Sykes.
Just again, related to the asynchronous format of teacher preparation, just curious to hear what are some ways you'll advise or support candidates that might, if they're struggling academically in an asynchronous learning environment, or ways that you monitor their learning with one-on-one meetings or other advisement structures.
Okay. Yes. So so when it comes to it's the asynchronous, we say we have the asynchronous format, but we do have due dates, and we do have instructors, and we do have feedback, and we do expect people to follow the pacing that we set for the program. So if someone is struggling, our process right now is that the instructor reaches out, whether that's usually we ask our candidates what they prefer. So we would reach out to the candidate to set up some time to then virtually meet with that candidate to see, what's going on, how can we help, how can we support, do we need a plan, do we need a plan, do we just need a little bit of time? It's really just that one-on-one with the candidate and the instructors, how we first start that off to hopefully set them up for success. Should the candidate continue to struggle, then the coordinator, director, someone else will come on in alongside the candidate and the instructor to see how can we still have this be successful for this person? How can we set them up in an online format to work with them? A lot of it is the most supportive hand-holding, but I mean hand-holding in the genuine way where you want someone to be successful. So you're really giving them, along with your support, the structures that they may need to depending on what they're completing. And then prior to all of this, we do within our, I'm thinking of the right word, orientation, we clearly let candidates know this is an online program. The familiarity with Canvas, Google, Microsoft, we learned from many years ago, we set the expectations up that they are in an asynchronous format and that an online format, and that they're coming in able to do it. It's just, I'm thinking what maybe we're talking about too is sometimes life gets in the way, and some people need some supports along the way to just continue to be successful. Very involved though. I love our sizes can be a little bit small, and I like that because then we can offer the virtual support through meetings and phone calls and whatever they may need.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? It is an action item if there are any motions as well. Member Hall.
I move to approve the bilingual authorization Spanish for San Diego County Office of Education.
Do we have a second? We have Member Pernin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations on the approval of your program.
This is fantastic. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
A lot of programs. Yes.
Yes.
Good job, guys.
This is 2:15. I'm assuming this is supposed to be 3:15.
Yeah.
All right, item 21 is the discussion, potential approval and pilot test of revisions to program reports completed by accreditation site visit teams. Administrator Miranda Gutierrez will present this item. Ms. Gutierrez, will you begin?
Yeah.
You. So I am going to present the item, but I also want to acknowledge that Sarah Solari and Christina Naharro are here, and they also helped work on the template, as well as Jake Schuler. But this item proposes 2 revised templates to the accreditation reports. I would say probably over the last few years, the accreditation team has been talking about how we might actually rethink these reports. And so we're presenting something to you today. We presented a draft for the multiple single subject reports and the teacher induction reports. They are both different, but I'll talk a little bit about those. So as you know, the common standards report in your site visit reports is a table of each common standard, with each element broken out, where the team determines whether it's been met consistently, inconsistently, or it's not evidence. And so that's the approach we took with the teacher induction template. And that's what we're also thinking for administrator induction. So we're thinking 2 separate report styles for our clear programs and 1 for the preliminary and initial preparation. So going back to what the common standards report template looks like, that's what we're thinking for teacher induction. We have 6 teacher induction standards and also for the CASC programs. And there's a table for each program standard with each element of the program standard broken out, with an option for the team to determine whether it was evidenced consistently, inconsistently, or not evidenced. Then after each standard, there's a space on the report for them to determine whether the standard was met with concerns, or not met. For any standard that's less than fully met, there's space for them to provide a rationale statement. And while they're not providing a summary standard by standard, we did include a program summary section, similar to that institution summary on the Common Standards report, where the writer could write some general impressions of the program in relation to the program standards. So again, the teacher induction program report, proposed program report, really pretty much mirrors the Common Standards report template. When we got to the initial preparation programs, we looked at the multiple and single subject program report template. And in our mind, we thought about going that same route with the teacher induction and common standards report template. But as we started putting it together, there's so much in those program standards, and it would be a lot for the team member to go through every single element and sentence and determine whether it was inconsistent, consistent, or not met, or not evidence. When we put the template together, it was 20 pages. So you can imagine what a site visit report would look like with an institution with 15 programs. So our approach there instead was to set it up standard by standard, so that the program reviewer would write a short narrative. Right now, the proposed text is 200 words. Not sure if that'll be enough. So again, open for discussion. But we have it set up standard by standard so that the reviewer would write a short summary summarizing how the institution is meeting the program standard based on, evidence, interviews, data, those types of things. There is a section for them to indicate whether the standard is met with concerns, or not met. And again, so for any standard that's less than fully met, there's space for them to write a rationale statement. And so if we're looking at the multiple and single subject program report, there are 7 standards, and so we would be asking reviewers to write short summaries for each of those 7 program standards. We do have some programs that do have more standards, but as we continue working along and revising standards, we can rethink that or have those conversations. So again, today, what we have is the multiple single subject report and teacher induction report. And we're asking for feedback. And then if you have feedback, or if you like what you see or want to make suggestions, we'd like to be able to pilot a couple of these, or these with some site visits that we still have remaining this spring. We've identified a couple of site visits that only have multiple single subject and that only have teacher induction or CASC, so that we could pilot these with one of those site visits, and as opposed to piloting it with a site visit that has multiple programs. We want to start small and see how it works for our reviewers, institutions, you. So with that, we're open to discussion and any feedback you might have.
My thought is, if it is piloted, which I think is a fantastic idea, maybe we can build in time on our agenda that Cheryl Hickey has been so amazing at providing us. That the team could pause afterwards, and we can ask them how that process went in that moment, because we're going to know that's the report that we're talking about. So if we build in time, would that be possible? Sure.
Maybe the institution too, not just the team, right? Because they received the report.
And just for the record, member Hillis is back and member Leggett is leaving, so just we still have quorum. So thank you. Safe travels.
I wondered if either one of you want to make a statement or add to what Miranda said, either Christina or Sarah. You don't have to. I just wondered if you worked on this.
Right. No, I think Miranda did a good job. I think that, volunteers.
So go to the table so the camera can catch you. Sorry.
Sorry.
On camera.
Yeah. So volunteers support, as you know, our BIR work. And I was noticing at this table, more than half of you have been a team lead or been on a site visit, and you've written a program report, or you've been, written common standards. And so the burden on a program reviewer is a little more than that on the common standards reviewer. And so, and given that these are all volunteers, we're trying to, and yet we want to have fidelity too to the standards and reviewing. So but we're trying to do that fine balance so that we have a pool of reviewers who we don't burn out and kind of so and quite frankly, I think the common standards have been working just fine, that structure. And so if we can mirror it with the programs, there's still be the opportunity when you're on a site visit and things aren't going well, you all automatically start diving deeper into the state language, right? To pinpoint what is it? Where's the issue? And so that's what the rationale for the finding would be. That's where it lives, right? And that's why we have rationale statements. So I think it's worth a shot. It's worth a try. We can try it this spring and bring it back as you suggested and discuss it. But we're pretty excited about maybe trying something different that we won't have reviewer fatigue and yet gives quality information to programs.
Can I ask a question? Is there a reason in the team's findings you use consistently, inconsistently, not evidenced, and then directly under that it's met with concerns or not met?
So do you want me to answer this?
It's within the same standard. There's two different ratings.
So the element, you're looking at the elements are consistently,
Not the whole standard.
inconsistently, or not evidenced. So at the element level, so this piece of this standard is either consistently, inconsistently, or not evidenced. And then the whole program standard itself is either met with concerns, or not met. So they're two different things you're measuring there.
So if you see a lot of not evidenced, you're probably going to see a not met finding. Whereas if you have a kind of a combination of consistently, inconsistent, then you might get a standard met or met with concerns if it raises to that level. So that gives the team enough professional judgment. It still gives them wiggle room with being able to kind of really focus where the issue is.
Got it.
I would appreciate piloting this as somebody who just did a program review and standards, multiple single subject. I would have appreciated this because it is a lot on that person. I'm sure. So I would love to see this piloted, and I'd love to see how, when we get it at this point, does this provide us enough information to move forward? Oh, yeah, I say go for it. Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Can't be more onerous.
Like I had a question.
Yeah, I just actually wanted to support that as well as someone who's done both on-site visits. To have the clarity for everyone around the tool that you're using, I think is helpful. So I would love to see this in action and be able to debrief it together. But it kind of goes back to the conversation we had earlier when a tool was developed by a team with stipulations, right? And having a chart with key pieces of information helps everyone focus in on the key elements of whatever it is that we're looking at. Because while there is a lot to look at and so many things to consider, at a certain point, we have to drill down into the key elements, and that really does help us focus. So Yeah, some of these reports are 45, 50 pages long, right? With a ton of supporting evidence and information, all which is relevant, valuable, and important. But then when it comes down to making those key decisions, you really do need to have the granular information to help you understand why and how you got there. And I think that chart, that those pieces are helpful to get there and identify it.
Great.
I'll just say, I really like keeping the summary, just that tiny bit of narrative, because we know the interviews are what drive these site visits. So to not lose that voice, right? Just by having met with concerns or not met, still giving that, I like, give the reader a flavor of that. I think it's hopefully going to be the best of both worlds.
Yeah, so the two, Christina and I actually are the ones who have the site visits who qualify for the pilot. And we both kind of looked at each other when we were sitting there, and I said, I'm presenting mine in June. She's so good, so am I. When you said, when you were saying that, you know, we could have some time after. So good news is that June meeting will be, hopefully if you've approved, then we can try this. And of course, if we have approval from our administrators, we're excited about this.
That's great. Thank you. Are there any public comments for this item?
No public comment.
Okay, this is an information action item only, depending on the direction of our conversation. Do I have a motion to approve the draft report templates and to pilot test the revisions to the program reports? Do I have a motion? Member Bryant, thank you. Do I have a second? Member Hall. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. All right, motion carries to pilot test the revisions of the program reports. Thank you, everyone who contributed, and look forward to the pilot results.
Thank you.
We're going to move to item number 22 and change our consultants and who will be presenting on this item. The discussion of the possible approach to address an induction issue. And we have Administrator Cheryl Hickey, who will begin the discussion of this item, and public comments are after the discussion.
After the presentation, probably, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not really sure where exactly it goes, but yeah. So on this item, before I forget, and thank you, Hart and Francis, for coming to the table, because I meant to tell you to make sure to do that. I do want to acknowledge there is a letter that was submitted on this. So if you go to the comment section on there, it's from San Diego County, our friend Carrie Morgan, who's been on several times today. So I think that letter raises a lot of really good points, and I think it's really worth considering. So I wanted to make sure you didn't miss that piece. So that this continues our conversation from our last COA meeting about the issue that has come up a couple of times now, including today, for precondition 1, which talks about induction being designed as a 2-year job embedded program for candidates in their beginning in the first year of teaching, and how we look at that first year of teaching, what happens with things like late hires, and individuals who are in those maybe year 2, year 3, year 4 of their preliminary credentials. So what we tried to do in this item was to take your conversation from last time and other conversations that we've had and throw out some ideas so that and put it on paper so that we can continue the conversation. Nothing here is set in stone. Nothing here is you know, a complete document. It's just to start the conversation again. If we wanted to move something forward, which I think something has to go forward to the commission, because I feel like it needs to be very consistently applied. Whatever the policy is, it should be consistently applied. And I think right now we're at a moment where it's confusing to teams, to institutions, and the like. So what this does is it focuses more on the process of making sure that candidates know that there's a program out there, that they are eligible, encouraging them to get into the program, and then it proposes something for late hire. So there's 4 pieces here as a proposal. And I don't know if you want Patrick and Jessica to walk through each one of them, but the first, if you look up number 1, it's about making sure that there is a process in place between the program and their employer. Could be the same entity, could be a different entity, to know who those candidates are that are eligible, who's been newly hired that's in their first year, and the other eligible candidates. As we saw today with San Diego County, including it in your MOU might be helpful in that way. The second one is about ensuring that candidates are notified so that they know what they're supposed to be doing and that there is a program available to them, and they should be encouraged to go into that. The third one is about making sure that all the partners understand they're not going to discourage candidates from entering into an induction program in that first year. We have seen that is part of the issue, and it's not, I don't think it's meant to be, because in the induction program is looked on poorly. It's that I think some employers think that there's a lot already on the candidates in their first year, and so maybe put this off, or there's expenses involved, or a variety of other reasons. So maybe there's that. And then the fourth one is about, what do you do when you have those people who are hired mid-year, and proposing some language related to that. And that might be the most, controversial part of this whole thing. So I'm just going to open it up, and I'm going to let the co-chairs kind of, you guys figure out how you want to talk about this and then we would love to be able to at some point bring something to the commission as a sort of a recommendation. I don't know if the two of you want to.
Just had one quick thing. I think it's important that when we're talking about this, framing it in a way that these are still their prospective candidates. They're not candidates who are eligible, that they would be educators that are eligible. So they are prospective candidates in the program. So when you are talking about certain aspects of it, it might be outside the day-to-day operations of an induction program.
So what I like the point that Cheryl had mentioned is like there's 4 distinct bullets, and walking sometimes is easier to break things apart and instead of looking at it all as a whole. And an interesting point on the attached letter, the administrative services, there is a certificate of eligibility that gets upgraded that still doesn't solve this, but it's an interesting point and why it happened one way in one program and not in another. And it's a very interesting point. And I'll just throw out there, like 1, 2, and 3, in my perspective, seem reasonable. We're communicating, we're making people aware. Where it gets tricky is number 4 for consortiums, universities, and county offices of education, because number 4 requires that rolling enrollment, and then we're saying 50%. Number 4 is to me a separate topic than 1, 2, and 3. So maybe we could talk about 1, 2, and 3 first, what concerns are there, and then talk about number 4. Is that fair for now, at least? Because 1, 2, and 3 are about process and communication. So thoughts on 1, 2, and 3, Member Bryant?
Well, my wonder is I see a lot of language around new hires, but I don't see language, and I don't know if this is a more general or a more specific point, but I don't see language around those individuals who move from an intern credential to a preliminary credential mid-year or something like that, which actually happens to be a lot of people that we end up serving mid-year in our program. They change status in their district. And then there's a question around how do we navigate that? And so they're not a new hire. They're an employee, and they might have been an employee for 2 or 3 years. So then it's about the employer ensuring they're tracking their progress along these, from STIP, PIP, intern all the way through, right? And when they hit another point, it's like shifting from process to process to process to process and having a through line all the way through. And in our experience, there's more of that happening than new hire happening.
Okay.
So it's just point. And that's where it starts to get a little, like, how much specific language do you want to have about all the different things? It's become pretty wild and crazy. We take one sentence and now we're down to 4 paragraphs. So I don't know the answer to that, but I think it's a consideration in terms of ongoing support to those individuals who are shifting.
So if I can clarify also, the words used here, are eligible candidates, so almost eligible candidates has to be defined. What is eligible candidate?
Yeah, so I think that's it more than anything. I mean, I think the most confusing language right now is that it says it's they need to participate in their first year of teaching, but to participate in an induction program, it's in their first year of teaching with a preliminary credential.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
the language that's missing.
Okay.
I think that's an important piece because if you go through, a teacher on an intern is in their first year of teaching.
Yeah.
So first year of teaching on a preliminary.
On a preliminary credential,
Could
right?
be that update, but that's something that we definitely have talked about at a staff.
Yeah.
First year of teaching on a prelim
Preliminary credential, yes.
really identifies what it is we're trying to get at.
But it's kind of goes back to like how specific, once there's a lot of specificity, then if one other component isn't specified, then it looks like it's not necessary. So again, I'm not saying I have the answers, I'm just posing some wonderings about that because we have multiple categories of things to consider.
So in number 1, I'm just looking at, it does have first year of teaching on a preliminary credential, so maybe it's the new hire word.
Yeah, I think it's, for me, it's the new hire piece because of that's, then you can have people say, oh, it's only new hires.
Okay.
And it may or may not be.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Number 3 says new teachers as well, so.
Okay.
Member Sykes.
Yeah, I think something that indicates like what you were suggesting, like indicating a credential status change, right?
Okay.
That, because it could be, that change could happen at the start of the year, or it could happen mid-year.
Okay.
And number 4 says late hire, so there's like these words, I think.
I think instead of hire, I would like put the quantifier on credential, right? Because we're looking at induction, so prelim credential, and that will also provide some clarification for HR and credential analysts who sometimes are like, here's all our new hires, and then like
Yeah.
induction, they're like, I just got a list of people on PIPs.
Yeah, exactly.
But it might help to kind of mirror the what happens with the admin credential, where it's like when you're in a position that requires this credential and you've earned it, then you may start the program, right?
To Carrie's point on that letter, with certificate of eligibility, you move through a process. So for one,
I've been having trouble making that connection to teaching because we don't have a certificate of eligibility. So I'm having a really hard time with that. Maybe it's once you're in a position that requires the preliminary, maybe that's how we get.
Yeah.
So if a prospective teacher graduates from the University of California with their credential, and then they don't join the workforce, their credit, it's ticking at this point. In the admin world, it's not ticking, but their credential still is ticking because that credential is dependent upon the other credential. So there is a credential ticking in the wings. So they have to, right? Because there's it's interdependent of each other. So, but what happens potentially, and this will get, okay, I'm going to go against my own words of not talking about number 4. But what happens is they get hired on a part-time contract, don't start induction, hired on a part-time contract, don't start induction, and now they're in year number 4. And they haven't started induction. Some districts don't hire a part-time teacher, don't allow them to enroll in an induction just yet because they're part-time. So then you have this dangling person out there in this nebulous world who just doesn't start. So it gets tricky on if we're going to say hired and a full-time and a part-time, do districts have these determinations or not?
Well, so they have to do induction to get their clear. At some point in that on that 5-year prelim, part-time work isn't going to work for them if they can't get induction as a part-time.
Then they're out of, so potentially in the world, the district world, a district could potentially say, I'm going to provide you with induction and pay for it if you're full-time. But if you're a temporary contract or a part-time employee, you're kind of on your own. So then that teacher is out there hopefully going to enroll in an induction program because their employer's not providing it. And so then this person is this person that's not meeting precondition 1, this single person, because the district won't potentially pay for them.
I don't know that that would cause you to, don't quote me on this, that would cause you to not meet the precondition, because you would just need to very carefully be able to explain to a site visit team, we have a policy, hopefully it's in writing. We don't provide induction to a candidate when they're a temporary employee. They have to go find it on their own. These are the candidates that we are not providing it to. So then it's not, you're not out of compliance with the precondition.
There goes a yes, but.
And staff is like, no. It's about this.
Well, it's not that we talk about, but you're referring to them as candidates again, and then they're not.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Individual.
Sorry, individuals. Thank you.
I just want to be just
Matter.
careful about it.
I'm wondering if we should ask for public comment, see if anybody.
It's,
Is there public comment, Michelle, on this, or you could alert us when public comment comes through?
So we need to focus on
Full-time, part-time.
Public comment, yeah.
Okay, but if somebody's hand does raise, we'll acknowledge it.
So member Sykes, yes.
I'm wondering just like if we could separate out like what is best practice for supporting teachers in their early years of teaching, and what are some existing policies and structures that are actually misaligned with that. Right, like that's part of what this is. It's like what it's best practice, like is it maybe more work for the credentialing program or for the district regarding continuous enrollment, or regarding, you know, as a teacher half-time, are we going to cover, maybe they cover a portion of induction? I don't know, but it's like, if we're just letting teachers kind of hang out there, that's disadvantaging a newer teacher. Like, why would we do that? Right? And particularly when we're dealing with a teacher shortage.
And I think it's, all of us here are associated in one way or another, and we all have different systems and cultures, right? In some programs, they do enroll everybody. You're hired, you're enrolled, some don't. And where it comes down to is the intent. I think what we've talked about in the past, the intention of this precondition is that you've designed a program. Well, number 1, 2, and 3 is informing your constituents. So this is how our program's designed, this is how it's communicated. Number 4 is implementation. So back to like 1, 2, and 3, I think cleanup of the language of what is a preliminary credential, but this is just about informing people. And to Erin's point, if whether it's paid for or not paid for, you're informing them that this needs to happen. Member Bryant.
So I'm thinking back to, we've had some programs who've received stipulations because they've had a partner say, we're not enrolling until later, a year or two. And so that is kind of why we are here. There's not consistent understanding or application with teams and with programs about this language in the precondition. Right. So if we go back to the purpose and the intent of that precondition, which is when people are eligible, they should be supported. That's kind of the baseline of it. Yeah. But when they're ready, we should welcome them, right? Let's support them and help them and build their capacities so that students are better off and teachers are better off and they stay in the profession. That's why we all do this work. So what does that look like? How can we make that, in my mind, as simple as possible? One of you said at the induction conference on the panel, like, don't make us.
One.
In trouble for no, it was great. It was a great piece of advice about like, please don't make us put things in a box because then we have to keep you in the box essentially, right? And so I think we need to be really careful here in that, in our desire to make it really clear to everyone, now we've created a series of boxes for people to stand in.
Right.
And I think we're getting really close to that.
Well, I will just say the one box I think we do have to live in with regard to induction is the reason that it was created, right? Which is research that shows new teachers need supports.
100%.
And they need individualized supports, which is why it went from BITSA to induction. And so that box I think is one we have to live in. These brand new teachers, they have to get this support. But so how do we identify them? Again, is it sorry if I'm not using the right words, I'll try not to say candidate, but so they move into that preliminary credential and they come to a situation where they are hired apparently as a full-time teacher. They should get induction, whether they start in August because they were fortunate enough to get that job offer early, or positions opened up for a district and they weren't able to start until November 30th or February 1st. So I think it's as soon as they hit the ground, within a reasonable amount of time, because I think we also have something in there about, if they start late enough in the year and there's only this many months left, okay, we can start them in the fall. But this whole thing about a part-time teacher is.
And I feel blessed.
A little
because
bit. I'm like, okay, I hadn't thought about
my 5 districts allow part-time. You could be on as long as you're teaching a period a day or a day a week. So, because otherwise, when are they ever going to start? So job shares, our program allows it, right? Yeah. I'm aware of programs that don't because they contact us because we do. So they are out of pocket to pay to go to us because their district won't necessarily pay for it. I'm not making commentary. Everyone's making decisions for their reasons.
Right. Yeah.
But in my world, I see this as a reality that they can come to us because they're within their first years. And even if you're teaching 1 day a week, you're impacting kids and this is your first year. So you should be mentored. So you're mentored on your job share day or your job share period. And we modify the program to make sure you're meeting your need. But this is an important data piece because it's also on ADS and it's also on when they clear their credential, they're asked by the CTC, when did you begin your enrollment in induction? And that data is a part of the site visit. So this is so important that it's actually in data points that we have to report and candidates have to respond to. And if someone could be asked on a site visit, well, your data shows that 20% of your candidates said they didn't start within till year 3. So
we might ask a question about that, but I will say consequential decision isn't necessary. That's an inquiry point.
Okay.
We are seeing data where candidates are saying you got 20% of your candidates are reporting they didn't get induction right away. Can you tell us about that? And it's fine if your response, because we know sometimes candidates, right? Sometimes they complete these surveys and they're not 100% sure what qualified as induction. Yeah. Did I get something that was part of my hiring package? Was that induction? So it's an inquiry point for sure. And if you have data, again, to say, we offered induction to candidates, but we have a policy that said candidates, I'm doing it, I know.
About to do
But we have a policy that says if they're only part-time, we can support them, but they must pay. And so they have then the choice of whether or not they start, and you're to identify it.
And I think that goes back to a site team training piece, because
Yes.
if a consortium has a policy that every teacher who's eligible should be enrolled upon eligibility, and one partner out of 50 doesn't do it, and they get stipulations, doesn't seem.
Can I ask a question? When you talk about the box, do you see 1, 2, and 3 being part of the box? Because to me, that's the problem, is that candidates are being told or not being told about induction.
No, I don't
So
think
if you
that's
have
part
the
of the box. I think one of my concerns is too, that is conversely, if it's too broad,
Yeah.
then it sounds like you can wait.
Which is the current precondition.
Right. And that makes me this language makes me a little nervous that way too, because it feels like you've informed them what if they do something with it, that so be it, right? So there's kind of this line there where together we need to all ensure that this support is happening, because there's two purposes to this support. One is for the individual to grow and develop in this profession, grow their skill set, build their capacity for themselves as a professional, but also it impacts the students together.
Right.
And so the longer that they wait, the less there's a missed opportunity there.
Right.
Right. And so, no, I don't think that's it. I want to be mindful that the more sentences we have, or we're thinking about how to respond to those sentences and ensure that it becomes more complex.
Right.
But I think this is great, because what we're saying is you need to know the process. The people need to be informed. This is going to create probably some stress and some burdens for some people who aren't doing this. But I personally know it can be done because we did it very quickly in response to stipulations we received a few years ago, right? Within 30 days, we had a system made.
So we need to pause for a moment. We have public comment and then we're going to Member Hallis.
Carrie Morgan. I'm Carrie, can you unmute you, Carrie?
So Carrie, you're being unmuted. Yeah, you're in our meeting. Welcome back.
Hi guys. So yeah, I did the letter, obviously, because we got precondition 1. And I'm just listening to the conversation. I wish I was in the room. This is fantastic. But part of me, after listening, part of me wonders like, what if the preconditions stayed the same? What if site reviewers or whoever's looking at the preconditions was more trained on the design of the program? Because our program was designed to be implemented in the first year of someone's teaching. It was just we were held accountable to ensuring that year one teachers were participating, and that's where we were lacking. So we did the changes for precondition one to support that design and the impact of having year one teachers coming into the program. But I just wonder that like this was not even on my radar until we got dinged for it. And I was like, why? We met it 2 years ago. Why didn't we meet it today? So sometimes I just wonder top down if things just get a little lost in the autonomy of the reviewers. And as a reviewer, I get it. But I just wonder, is a change needed or is it just training? Those are my thoughts.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Carrie. We want to get to member House and Hart wants to add in, so whoever wants to jump in first.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I was thinking pretty much the same thing as Carrie. The more I'm listening to this, the more I'm thinking maybe we don't need any changes to language, and maybe it's more additional evidence required in preconditioned submissions from, say, a consortium here, where you're providing evidence of a partnership agreement that shows that you will be informing any new hires, interns.
This says, well, how would that differ?
No, and then if for whatever reason the potential candidate doesn't want to enroll, there's just an opt-out form that they sign that the that the partner district submits or just holds on to, I suppose. But I'm not sure.
It's funny. It's been a minute since I've been full-time in the induction world, but it reminds me a little bit of ECO. And kind of that being somewhat of a gray area and how each program has their defensible process and their form. So if they can't participate right away, whether it's their part-time or it's a financial hardship or, maybe it's some type of like ECO type form. So at least the program can show they have a defensible process to inform and look at each person and not to form people to death. But
We assumed that was already happening, is that candidates always have the opt-out. That it's the candidate that has the opt-out. So I guess that's what I mean, we don't like that. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I thought that was always like, nobody's gonna force me to go to an IHE and get into a master's program until you cannot, get your clear credential.
Well,
So
number 4, I think what gets tricky, the mud starts at number 4.
definitely.
So I would be totally okay with number 4 if there was one part that was different, is that if they're enrolled after your enrollment stops, whatever that date is, any newly hired person, everyone's informed and they're provided information to enroll at the next cohort beginning. That might be August, but they're enrolled for the next cohort, which most people will have. Okay, you took a hire in November, our next cohort begins in August, our next cohort begins in January, our next cohort begins in April, that they're enrolled to begin at the next cohort. Goes back to your point, then every program can build up with that cohort, because no one's cohort's 2 years from now.
Right.
Everyone's gonna have a cohort within the year at some point. Maybe it's August, February, March. That I would then, if that was there, I wouldn't have a worry because everyone can create something, to your point, experienced and what's the exceptional experienced is welly diverse language out there. Like it's amazing what is out there for that. So with this, it would be amazing what this would look like, but enrolled at your next cohort, actually, I don't know if there are many programs would disagree with that possibility.
I don't know. What do you guys all think? That sound reasonable?
Yeah.
And it's simpler to understand.
Are you suggesting there, like, the language in 4 is kind of like if there's 50% more or 50% left, are you looking at omitting that and using that language instead?
So communicates, so if I look at, thank you, member Sykes, like line 3 communicates with the induction program about these individuals and enrolls them for their next cohort.
And so then that leaves it on the onus of the program to identify when their next cohort starts. If they have
Yeah.
rolling admissions, they could be like, great, and the next 5 people are coming in January, we're coming in.
Or August, if that's because there's universities are on semesters, right? So they may not begin till February. But if they got hired, they may not begin till August. Now it does push out. Okay, here's the exceptional versus experience issue of definition. When does that end in October? Does that end in November? And then they wait till August. And I think that's the concern is at what point is it a late hire?
And that's why I'm not sure. I think we can think about that more. I'm not sure late hire is the right terminology to use. I think it's more about when they enter, when they move to their prelim, when they get from the prelim to a full-time job, what is the timing of that? And how much more time is left in the school year that they're going to be teaching with potentially no support?
I was gonna say, don't we need something in there for those people to have still some kind of informal support until they get into the.
That's what I was gonna say, because
Member Pernin had all the answers for us. So and you're gonna call on her.
But I look at this number 4, which is a little bit, it can be very complicated. I noticed too, when you have preliminary people, they sometimes do not finish when you would like them to finish. And they're finishing at various times in their 3rd year, some 4th year. So therefore, are we immediately going to try and put them into a program when they've already been teaching? And this really makes it feel like they have to go into some program within a certain amount of time. So when you say 50% or more time remaining, that gets a little iffy too. I mean, we have done that where we have people who have finished and we tell them your finishing date, if it's by December 31st and you have everything turned in and you've already applied for your preliminary, you may start in January. But to have that in writing, I don't know. I think everybody's program has to have a little bit of flexibility depending upon, and like you said, what if there are only 3 or 4 or 5 candidates? Are you going to start them in January? We just happen to have a lot of people. So it's easier for us. But I do worry about everyone's going to be looking at that 50% or more. What does that mean? Okay, how much is 50% of the year? You'll have people doing that as opposed to the next time that it's being offered might be easier.
More sites.
You could do that, or you could do something concrete and be like by April 1st. Like, Terry, here's when it starts. And again, I think it's up to programs around like what do we see as best practices for new teacher support in onboarding and enrolling them in induction.
And if we go back to the actual, just remembering the actual language of the precondition is each induction program. So it's not about support, it's about induction. So if we do that, we have to craft it. It's what's the difference between induction and new teacher support? Those are 2 separate things, because then there's another precondition. As a reminder, now an ILP has to be started, right? Because now we're in a 30-60 day, this is where that waterfall starts. So we can't call it something or mirror it as something, either it is or it isn't. Otherwise, we're in a different problem.
And this is, I think, where
this
and I are on the same page, because if you're not enrolled in the induction program, we can't really hold the induction program accountable for supporting a new, I'm going to say new hire that's outside of that. I think that may be an employer's requirement or whatever, but and that's the hard part. It's like you've got people who are hired that aren't in the program and people that are actually in the program. So it's really about
That's why I think like our idea of, well, what's your plan for it? And it's in the context of the design of the program, but we don't need to be getting into the specifics on each individual on it. It's more, this is how the program's designed. This is what will happen if someone is hired outside of the enrollment window.
Then you shared a word in enrollment that it's always been told that we can define what enrollment is. Like for our program, we define enrollment as the day of orientation or the first day of school, whichever comes last. Because if they go to the summer, I can't do a 60-day window starting on August 1st because school doesn't start till the end of August. So we had to redefine, because even when we're throwing out the word enrollment, it's like throwing out the word late hire.
Yeah.
Like these are words that have to be defined by the program. We're on the same page. Member Bryant and Hall.
Okay, well, I have to remember. Okay, I'll just keep it simple. I don't remember anymore, but I'll just start fresh. Reset. I think this has been a really interesting discussion, as it always is, and I appreciate that. And maybe whatever decision is made, we need to be thinking about the purpose and the spirit behind it, as Erin was talking about, and what the role of the induction program is, and what the induction program, regardless of where it's housed, what it can do as an induction program, what the purview of the induction program is. And so what we want is for every teacher to be supported all the way through that pathway. But I don't know that you can put every requirement for that once they've exited something else or entered into an institution on the induction program either. I mean, I would hope that they're within a system that's thinking about how to design systems of support through and beyond the induction program, and that there is access to support. But when we're talking about this precondition, I think we need to keep in mind that where it's primarily an issue is through the accreditation process as it's bubbling up in site visits. And it's a really small strand of programs where this is bubbling up, and it tends to be large consortiums, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is not really, it's an issue, but it's not an issue at the same time. It's taking up a lot of our brain space and a lot of our time because it needs to be clarified. And I've always thought that precondition is confusing anyway, because it just says the first year of teaching. And, so I still feel like no matter what, that could be cleaned up.
Preliminary credit.
Yes, just adding that language would be helpful. And if we change and add all of this, I can support that, as long as we remember that no matter what we do, none of it really matters if the site visit team doesn't have clarity and the advisement all the way through isn't clear in terms of their training and their support and the advisement that's being provided to the programs, because the programs are going to do whatever needs to be done. But the goal is to ensure that the teachers are getting what they need when they're within those programs, because that's the whole purpose of the structures. I don't know where I'm going with it, but that's just like.
And that is the goal. And I think sometimes the frustration comes when a consortium, the leader of a consortium says, we don't know what's going on and that's shocking.
Right.
You need to, if you're gonna run this program, you do need to know what candidates are entering and exiting, and so.
What would help make it clear that it's important to be having those conversations about support throughout the year as opposed to once a year?
Member Hall also, as we think about
Done now.
that. I let you lose
No,
my-
I was actually gonna say, I think this is a really great conversation. But at some point, I think we need to allow time for the staff to go back and revise based on maybe multiple options instead of just this one option. Based on the conversation, and then come back and then say, okay, this is what we think now. Because there's been so much amazing expertise provided here. That was my thought.
It's too bad we couldn't have done a whole session on this at the induction.
Tomatoes.
Thank you.
Just kidding. It goes back to words though, and I think Carrie Morgan said it earlier. It's hard when you designed a program, and it's talking about design of a program. She designed a 2-year program, but it was interpreted that she didn't implement it, and the word implement is not in precondition. And is it, or?
Well, I guess like as I'm listening, I don't mean to jump in on that part, but I think we're talking about program design versus enrollment. And when looking at like, are they being enrolled within the first year? And that's been like a separate sticking point, at least what I'm hearing thematically is we're talking about designing a program, as Carrie mentioned, with the process of enrollment to ensure candidates are enrolled within their first year. And if they're not enrolled in I'm going to quote unquote, like timely fashion, that's where we're hitting the hurdles of you're not meeting that mile marker, but that's not what the precondition says. So we're actually talking about two separate pieces of a programmatic design function, with one of those pieces not inherently embedded within precondition.
Well, and the fact that the precondition that does exist doesn't get at the ultimate state objective.
Exactly.
It doesn't solve the problem. And the problem is, if there are people out there that don't even know that they should be in an induction program. And so that's where sometimes, you know, the state objective and the words on the page just, they don't align. And that's what I see here is that, yeah, of course it's designed as a 2-year program. That's how it is. But that language doesn't address the issue.
Right, because
so it's lacking.
Even in that part, we're talking about the broader levers of new teacher support versus the formalized induction program.
Exactly.
Because then we could start splitting hairs about the part-time, full-time conversation, because I was going through ed code to see if that establishes like a teacher, participating beginning teacher needs to be a full-time person. As of right now, I mean, we can come back to this part, I'm hard pressed to find that language that they actually have to be full-time. So that opens up another Pandora's box around you have part-time people on a part-time contract who have a preliminary credential, they need to clear it. Are they eligible? And as at least right now, I'm happy to come back to this conversation at our next meeting, but I think they are.
Why couldn't this mirror task? So I'll throw another piece out there. Task says within a year, not in the first year. So if you get that candidate, let's just say your enrollment ends October 15th, within a year. Well, my next cohort's August. That's still within a year because October 16th would be not within a year. So if we use the within a year language, which is the CASC language, and by the way, in CASC, it's not in a precondition, it's in a program standard. So this isn't a program standard in teachers, but I'm sorry, it's a precondition in teachers, is a program standard in CASC.
Yeah.
So either way, it's still within a year. So within a year, this whole thing gets solved and we're back to the cohort model.
We just have to, so I'm looking at statute right now and I would have to also double check. We just need to make sure that statute doesn't say, sometimes our preconditions mirror exactly the language of either the law or regulations or statute or so I like that idea within a year. I would like to consider that, but I also want to make sure that if we change it to that, we're not now out of
just make up our own words.
We can write new statute.
Finding something.
So Patrick's point about a year, a calendar year, right? Would you say that a teacher is experienced and exceptional after a year of teaching like we do for ECO? No, right? They're still beginning teachers, right? So just throwing that out there just in terms of how we are thinking about things. So maybe new teacher, beginning teacher. Yeah, they're still beginning in that first year as well. For sure. So I think with the program being designed to begin in the first year of teaching is still pretty sufficient at this point in being in line with the state objective as well.
This, to me, the whole issue is because of the funding change from categorical to LCFF and making it so that, because back in the day, you know, you had your list and you had the consent forms and you had all of that stuff and everybody got paid the per head
in the bucket and out of the bucket.
Exactly. And so this has come up because of that. But okay, so we have within a year, we have at the next cohort. I'm thinking of options. As you said, but
That would be great.
and we'll go back and we'll look at the statute again. It feels like at least 1, 2, and 3 feel pretty reasonable and everybody could do them. Is that right? So it's just really finding a way to capture.
To remember Brian's point, capturing the correct language.
Yes, the correct language.
But
and I'd love to run it by you all if I could. Okay.
And I think what you've said before, which I think is appreciated, and we're still in this stage, so programs are coming forth to us. If site leads out there could just know, unless something's really egregious.
Yeah. Yes.
There's flexibilities right now for programs.
I think that for especially this year's site visits, we've made an emphasis of them focusing on it being the design of the program.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are there additional public comments, Michelle, that have come through at all?
Nope, no public comments.
Other committee members comments?
I'd just like to thank you for the time, effort, and energy you've put into this concept and topic. It's been a minute.
And who knew that one sentence could lead to so much conversation?
Constructed.
Words matter.
Yeah, it's my, when I find parts of the standard vague, not intentionally vague, but they are vague, and then you have inconsistency in how teams look at it. And that's the piece that's the hardest part about accreditation, is that you don't want somebody getting dinged and somebody else getting through. It's got to be consistently applied. And so when you have words like that, it begs inconsistency in application. So thank you for all kind of helping us through thinking this through to get some clarity.
And I'll throw a wrench into the conversations. I still think CASC should be looked at, because CASC has two preconditions that conflict with each other. There's one precondition that says full-time and one says part-time. And so I think if we're going to be clarifying these, like, is it in CASC, it says they have to have 2 years of full-time administrative experience, but their enrollment could be as a part-time or a full-time administrator. Well, those conflict with each other. So it should say full-time or part-time, not, because they can meet one but not the other. And then how many part-time years add up to 2 full years?
Yeah, and I think we've defined that, haven't we? We defined what full-time service means.
I think so, yeah.
So I think that's what you would lean to. It's like they've been part-time, so how many years of part-time have they done to equal full-time?
I think that needs to be called out more, because it's not.
There's a definition of that somewhere, but I don't know.
It used to be 75%.
75%, yeah.
But part-times, I haven't seen that definition, so that we would, and it kind of gets confusing, is then you have to track how many part-time years they've had to have 2 full years of eligibility. It's a conundrum of math, that if that language is allowable.
So right now, actually, I can tell you that one of my tasks right now, I've made this my kind of going away party here, is to clean up the preconditions. There's a lot of stuff in there that need updating. I mean, it still refers to old level 2 and specialist stuff. There's a lot. So I've been working on that, but it's going to take us this whole spring to kind of clean all that up. I will take a look at that, or I'll have admin folks look at that. So part-time, full-time. Okay, we'll take a look at that. Make some templates.
And hopefully it would be part-time, because there's some people who start as a teacher administrator. And so just to know the reality of the field out there is not everybody's a full-time administrator, but if you went through CASC for 2 years and were coached for 2 years, even in a part-time role, the argument would be, haven't they been coached for their 80 hours in PD, and shouldn't they be allowed to clear just like anybody else, because that district only has part-time administrators? So for equity of districts out there who don't have full-time administrators, I think I would lean towards a part-time allowability, in my own personal humble opinion. All right.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any humble opinions they'd like that? This is an information item. No action is needed. Thank you, Ms. Hickey. With that, we'll now open for public comment. As a reminder, the COA may not discuss any topics presented during this item, as they have not been publicly noticed. Does any member of the public have anything it wishes to say? Please raise your hand and in the Zoom feature, or we'll wait a moment to see if we have anyone indicating they wish to speak in the chat function. And as a reminder, it's limited to 2 minutes.
No public comment.
Thank you so much for watching behind the scenes. Having no further business, I adjourn the January 2026 meeting of the Committee on Accreditation. Our next meeting is that 1 day virtual Thursday, March 12th. Thank you. Safe travels, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll be dreaming of preconditions. These precondition ones.
You everybody.
Or a nightmare, rather.